Good evening. It's 5:10 p.m. on Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. I would like to call this meeting of the Finance Committee with the City Council meeting as a committee of the whole to order for budget hearing number 3. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Murray.
Present.
Councilmember Middleton. Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Present.
Councilmember Matavetsky.
Present.
Councilmember Rathmel. Present. Councilmember Dundon is absent and Chair Kavanaugh.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, and to kick things off, we'd like to open pages 81 and 82, the Economic Development Budget, and welcome down the Director of Economic Development, Sarah Glose.
Great, thank you. So I believe you all have the budget highlights in front of you. Very little has changed since last year. Outside of salaries, we're requesting a $400 increase, $250 in travel and training, and $150 in promotions and marketing. I don't know if you want me to just go line by line or if you have specific questions, but I'm happy to run this however makes sense for you folks.
We've been doing the line by line, so might as well just run through that way, I think.
Okay. So first up is salaries. I don't think that there's much to talk about there. My salary is set and the rest are determined by CSEA contracts as well as Joel's longevity. Okay. Apologies. Next up is office supplies. We're not asking for an increase in this line. The most expensive thing is printer ink, as well as just a general line for office supplies. You'll see that there's very little that's been expended to date. We do most of our expenditures in December, and usually just plan for the next year. It just gives us the maximum flexibility in our budget so that we're not spending things too early in the year and then realizing that there were things that we absolutely needed towards the end of the year. Again, specifically the printer ink for our printer in our office and the plotter specifically.
Do you ever share that plotter with engineering, or is that the same plotter that engineering discussed?
It's the planning plotter. So our office and planning split that. But we use more of the color ink, so we pay for the ink.
Do you ever wind up needing support from, I think they mentioned data flow or other places? Does it break down? Is it?
Sometimes we do most of our stuff in-house. It's just cheaper, but we do have in our promotions and marketing budget printing. We mostly do that for external, not for internal. The plotter is generally used for when we're doing internal printing for us. Next up is professional services. The Office of Economic Development holds our contract for grant consulting services valued at $65,000. As noted in the budget summary, since 2022, that consultant has secured over $14 million in grant funds for the City of Binghamton. That does not include other grants that we've received where we did not use their support. So those are just exclusively the grants that were supported by the grant consultant.
So what, just out of curiosity, what's the, this relationship's been in place since 2022, right? I assume you're happy working with them. They've been a good consultant.
Yes.
Anything else we could be doing with them? I mean, I don't know the details of the contract exactly.
Yeah, basically, if there's any needs from grants in the City of Binghamton, they can come to my office. I know the clerk's office has come to us on occasion about grants. So it's really just about coming to me and asking what you need, and I'm happy to work it through with them.
Is it a single grant consultant or a firm?
It's a firm. We work with 2 individuals at Willadis.
What is the name of the firm?
Willadis, WLADIS.
I had a question. I know you said that in personal services, were those other jobs, are they tested, management tested for any of these jobs?
I know that the business development specialist is civil service. The other 2 are management tested.
Okay.
And those 2 follow the CSEA contract raises.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
I missed that
no problem.
part. Thank you.
Any other questions on grants? Okay, travel and training requesting a small increase here just due to the federal mileage reimbursement rate. It being increased, it's at 70 cents a mile. It's a lot of money if you are driving to, say, Rochester and back. So it's just accounting for the increase in cost of pretty much everything going up.
Well, do you travel a lot?
Yeah, we myself, as well as we do a lot of trainings online, which we save on travel with those, but they're still significantly expensive. So Rachel, Ben, and I have all done trainings and travel this year.
And I know you started out. Is there a way you can kind of explain to some of us, because we have two people who weren't here in the last budget season, can you kind of explain what your department really does and what you do for the city?
Yeah, so
Thank you.
absolutely. At a very, very basic level, I explain economic development as our job is to increase the tax base of the city of Binghamton, and that happens in a variety of ways. So kind of traditional economic development is business development, supporting small businesses, supporting retail. That increases sales tax. It also creates jobs in our community. And that can be supported in a variety of ways. There's direct support in terms of technical assistance, grants and loans that are provided through the Binghamton Local Development Corporation, which by virtue of my role, I'm executive director of that local development corporation, as well as downtown beautification efforts, revitalization efforts, neighborhood business district planning efforts, which I work with the planning department heavily on. It also includes housing, both in terms of adding housing stock to the tax rolls, which increases taxes, as well as decreasing housing cost burdens on folks who then have additional income that they can use to spend and stimulate the economy. So it encompasses a wide variety of things. By virtue of my role, I also touch a lot of different departments. We have businesses that are navigating through the building process. We have business owners that are navigating sign permits, work very closely with planning on figuring out where businesses can or cannot locate, what the process for getting through a zoning and planning review is. Grants, that's just a particular area of my expertise coming from my background at Empire State Development that I've taken on a lot of, but Juliet in planning and I work on those very closely together. So very, very basic overview, but that's the rough gist of the department.
We need you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you spell one more time the consulting firm?
WLADIS. They're a law firm.
I was going to say, I got to see them in action today, and Joel's got real estate expertise, and like they could sit down. So this is a call to people who have serious ideas to reach out to the city, and you will get helped.
That is my job. Moving on to dues and memberships. So we've historically had a membership to the Preservation Association of the Southern Tier, just a resource that we have in terms of supporting specifically our downtown historic district and how we maintain and keep that active and alive. International Economic Development Council, that membership gets us discounts on the trainings that are offered through IEDC, including courses that can earn you towards different economic development certifications, which Rachel in our office is considering going down that path. Main Street America, just an excellent resource. They have a great member, oh gosh, what's the word I want? Forum message board, where we take a lot of ideas from and validate some of the ideas that we have. Other is just in there because they don't let us know about increases usually until closer to the first of the year. And so it just gives us a little bit of extra padding in case they do increase those costs, which they have. They've changed their membership structures and pricing a couple times over the last couple of years. Then promotions and marketing. Last year, we asked for a pretty significant increase in this budget. So not asking for any increase here, except as it relates to the BMI ASCAP license for music in the parks. This is something that we are legally required to pay. Parks pays one of the bills and my office pays, I believe, two of them. There are three different licensing firms. If you have a band that plays a song that is licensed under one of these three organizations, you have to pay this license, otherwise they can and will sue you. So this is something, again, they don't let us know what the increases are until closer to the first of the year. It's based on population size and a number of other factors. So we just build in a modest increase based on what the increases have been over the past few years, but otherwise not asking for any additional money there. The money that we asked for in increase last year was just to codify our support for the Italian Festival and Tournament of Bands, as well as to add a line for event support. I know that a couple of requests have come from this body to support events like Endless Summer Festival. We're supporting the Latin Fest. We supported Porchfest through this
Good.
line this year. So it's flexible for us to encourage new events to happen in the city of Binghamton.
Do you think that's enough money to support these events?
We make it work. At the end of the day, that we could always use more money, but I think we have only been having this pot of money for 1 year. So I think I felt comfortable trying to build up more of a case over the couple of years about what we're doing with that and making sure we're using the money in a way that makes sense. Right now, we're using it to seed a lot of new events, and I think we'll see what those relationships look like long term if there are more new events coming into the city, and other ways that we can support besides direct sponsorship. You'll see we have printing in here. We do a lot of printing on behalf of different organizations to support their events. It's just like a fairly inexpensive way that we can take an administrative and cost burden off of things that are happening in the city.
I have one request for event support. Is there a way that you can reach out to us? Like if you're supporting an event, like if the city is supporting an event, just to let us know that like, you know, the city's a part of it. So that way we can attend the events or like just to be there. Cause I see things and they're like, the city is there and support it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know anything about that. So if like we could have like a streamline of communication, just like, hey guys, like the city is sponsoring this. So that way, like we're just, you know, a part of it or something in that nature.
Yeah, and I think that's something that the clerks can be assisting on too, as they are managing the event process and they're the
That's
ones
fine.
that are
Yes.
often connecting us with the people that we
Yeah, no,
ultimately
they
support.
do. They send us, so the clerks send us like every single thing, but I mean like something that like the city is sponsoring like directly.
Yeah, so that's what I mean is that a lot of times those requests for city sponsorship come directly through the event permit process. So a lot of what you're getting is probably what we're already supporting, but yeah, happy to do that. I also encourage you all to follow our economic development Facebook page. That's where we advertise most of the things that we're involved in, and would always appreciate shares from that to get the word out more about what's going on in the city.
Thank you.
So, and lastly, there's the line that existed in 2024 and adjusted, refunded. There was money fund this year. That's also promotions and marketing. What was the content of that line?
Yeah, so that was an ARPA line. We worked with the Chamber of Commerce to facilitate 2 different allocations of ARPA money to events and organizations that were kind of coming back after the COVID-19 pandemic. And those funds will be exhausted by end of year this year.
Any highlights from that? Anything that we should be trying to fund it in another way or?
Yeah, great question. So that is one of the reasons that we advocated for this money last year, was that this enables us to support some of those events that we were supporting through the ARPA line. So I think our relationship with the Broome County Arts Council is probably the highlight of my experience with it. They've been able to drive, we've done some branding work with them, some website work with them, as well as supporting ads for First Friday, which I know many of you have attended and has grown a lot in the last couple of years. So they've been able to really re-solidify after COVID. And now we're thinking about kind of what that long-term relationship looks like. So we were able to build off of those relationships we built with the ARPA money into things that have either been able to be successful on their own, things that maybe we tried and didn't work or were one-offs, and then as well as the things that we're having long-term relationships with over time and figuring out how we fund those amongst competing priorities.
As you're out with your peers and in other municipalities and stuff, what things are in some other municipalities' toolkits that we might be lacking in the city that we could build up our arsenal? God, I don't know why I'm using that. Whatever.
Yeah,
You get my point.
Yeah. I think data analysis and staff capacity is always at a premium. For instance, Syracuse has an Office of Neighborhood and Business Data that is the entire office and it has multiple people in it. That is something that we are doing with a staff of 4, trying to keep on top of all of the data that's out there and make database decisions. And it's not always, it takes a long time to go through all of that data and digest it in a way that makes sense and be able to be actionable. So that's something that we probably don't do as well as other municipalities, but it really is just a capacity thing. And to add an entire new person for that, I don't think is necessarily a realistic ask, although would always be happy to do that. I also work with a lot of municipalities that have downtown organizations. The city fills in a lot of the gaps of what a downtown organization might otherwise work on. And a lot of that is sweat equity. It's going out, it's talking to businesses, and that's time that's being taken away from other work we're doing. So always trying to balance being out in the community, talking to businesses, making sure that we've got boots on the ground with getting done the work that needs to be done, back at the office.
Is the county at all helpful in say a bigger data role or anything, or Chamber of Commerce, or I don't know how those connections work exactly.
Yeah, we make requests of both the county and the chamber, and they accommodate those to the best of their ability. The county actually has a new economic development planner who works under Commissioner Fiala. David, who is excellent and has supported us a lot in some boots on the ground effort. He loves to get out and talk to people. So he's been a great resource for both the city and the county in that respect. And the chamber has access to a couple of pieces of software that can pull data, and we're able to make kind of limited requests. It's underneath their contract. So there's a variety of limitations on, how they can share that data, but to the extent that they can, they do. And we obviously use a lot of the reports that are generated from the agency and the Chamber of Commerce, specifically the document that comes out of their economic development forecast breakfast I reference on a regular basis has baseline economic data about Broome County, the greater Binghamton area, jobs, population growth, things like that. So we do utilize as much outside information as possible, but just not a lot of that raw data collection and analysis that's happening out of my office, more using prepackaged data sets that exist already.
Is there, without bringing in a full-on data analyst sort of position, is there opportunity to contract for at least some of that? Are there firms out there that would be worthwhile exploring?
Yes, they're just quite expensive. So Placer AI is a software that we have looked at and made use of before. It's about $20,000 for a city of our size. And one of the limitations of it is that you still need to have the staff capacity to actually go into the system, generate the reports, ask the right questions. Data can be misleading if it's not used correctly, and I'm very diligent about that. And I don't like us to shortchange the way we do data analysis in a way that maybe justifies what we want to do, but isn't necessarily accurate to the data. And you can tell all sorts of stories with data, and I want to make sure that we're telling accurate and complete stories.
That's my questions. Anyone else?
Well, I was
Oh.
curious.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Just what are you excited for next year?
Oh,
What?
I was gonna.
Oh, you're gonna.
We've got a lot of housing projects on the horizon that should be breaking ground next year. That's kind of my things I've been working on since I started in 2022 in conjunction with the mayor's office that will be starting next year. It's just the nature of the game. Housing takes a very, very long time to get funded through the state level. So we're finally at that point where we'll be able to see some big progress on top of the more incremental progress that we've seen over the last few years. So that's really my focus. And then once we get shovels in the ground on that, I want to pivot back to some of the job creation efforts we've been working on, workforce development efforts, building our relationship with the university, which Joel has been doing a great job of, working with the engineering department and connecting them with different local manufacturers and employers to try to build that pipeline out better. So as we close out projects or otherwise see them into the next phase, it doesn't have as much of a heavy hand from the city, trying to pivot back to some of those things that have been not on the back burner, but maybe not as front of mind as others.
You mentioned one of the ways you could get more bandwidth is if we had an active downtown organization. Is that something that seed money or something could help incentivize the creation of? Is there any seeds existing for that creation? or recreation. I've probably had one at some point.
It is really something that needs to be driven by the downtown business owners. They are loosely organizing around a variety of different initiatives. They, specifically the gorgeous Washington Street businesses, have been great at coming together, figuring out what they want, and then advocating to the city for those things.
Homecoming was beautiful.
That was more of an effort of the university. They do an excellent job, and the merchants on Washington Street are very happy about that and participate in that, but not necessarily an effort that came out of those. On Saturday, Three of Cups is leading the charge on Autumn on Washington. The city is supporting that through the creation of a one-day passport to visit retail businesses on Washington. So we're doing small things like that, but it really needs to be driven by the business owners, by the property owners. I have not seen that there is a critical mass of people who are interested in formalizing a downtown organization at this point. And in speaking with colleagues across the state, it is not necessarily a best practice for that to be led by the government. It needs to come from the community. So we're continuing to build that muscle with our downtown businesses and getting them to collaborate and communicate more. But at the end of the day, it's just, I think, rebuilding after COVID was most people's main focus. And now we're kind of moving into being able to think less panicky, less survival mode, and more what does downtown look like moving forward. And that's what we're seeing the businesses and the building owners coalesce around.
I have a few things. First, David is really awesome. He's a really good asset. I've worked with him before, so he's a really
great. Yeah.
he's a really good.
He was one of my students at BU. I'm grateful he stayed in the area.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Is there anything inside of the budget that like a wish list, something that you think could make your department better, or anything that could help your department grow that you didn't get, like when you wrote down things? Is there anything that you're thinking?
Do you know how to clone people? Because I could clone myself and then we would have a lot more capacity. No, frankly, I haven't really thought about that. We're trying to keep our heads above water with just trying to provide what people of the city of Binghamton are already asking us to do. Frankly, we added a staff member 2 years ago, which has been great, but adding another person it's not just adding, the work of management is not commensurate with just adding a person. It seems to double and triple when you add people into the mix. So I'm always cognizant of what's my capacity to be a good manager to people, as opposed to just throwing bodies at a problem.
Absolutely.
So I feel very comfortable with the size of our department right now, with the projects we're taking on and my management ability. Something I'd like to grow over time, but I feel that we are growing in a responsible manner right now and continuing to deliver against our goals. Of course, we could always be doing more resources is always a good thing, but I don't have like a particular wish list at this time. Although frankly, I did not really think about it. Given the affordability is front of mind for everyone, not just City of Binghamton, but it seems like countrywide right now. And I know the county is making decisions around how they are responsible with the allocation of resources in that affordability. And I think the city is as well. And I want to be part of that solution to continue to keep taxes stable or low for people, so that we're not passing that additional cost burden on to people in the middle of an already really difficult economic time.
Yes. I know before there was like grants for businesses to fix up like the outside. Do you still have that? Is that still available?
So all of that money has been allocated to date.
Okay.
That was an ARPA allocation. We do have low interest facade loans. We are always encouraging people just to reach out to us and let us know what they need, because grant opportunities come up all the time, and it's a lot easier if we already have a pre-existing list of what people are looking for. We have a little bit of that right now. We have a number of people that have reached out to us over the last year or so with different needs, who remember that there was a facade program and inquire about the status of that. And we're able to have those conversations about what resources are currently available, and also just build those connections so that when things come up, we can reach out and say, an opportunity is here. Another example of that is through that facade program, through that facade grant program, we identified a critical mass of properties on State Street, Henry Street, and Prospect Street in the downtown arts district, and were able to submit a successful application to the New York Main Street program that incorporated 4 properties that applied for the grant funding. And we were able to fund them through another grant. So just trying to leverage what people have on the docket into what becomes available over time.
That's really good. The last thing, I know that me, you and Rebecca met regarding the grocery store. I just wanted to give you an update. I haven't heard anything back from the numbers that you gave me, so we can go from there. But I guess after budget season, I guess we can start meeting again with some ideas.
Yeah, happy to. And
Thank you.
I know we talked about how, unfortunately, it does not seem like there is a lot of interest in replying to emails from municipalities. I'm sure they're flooded with them, but still top of mind, trying to figure out how we do that. And I appreciate that you have a unique perspective on that, given your role.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I think President Dundon is still away, and I still think we've had a discussion about kind of keeping pages open until we're all here to kind of review them. So I will entertain a motion to close these pages and hope I don't see one. Okay, pages remain open, and we will now have Josiah Bartram down here to talk with us about the state of the Broome County Library, which I think the City of Binghamton is the biggest contributor? Yes. After the county. All right. So we will open our budgets to page 94. It's one line. Just, yeah, we can send it. Sarah's got you. All right. 94, yeah. The green?
How's that?
That's
All right.
perfect.
So thank you for having me. As Councilmember Kavanaugh mentioned, the city is by far our second biggest funder. And that's reflected both in your budget, and then there's copies of our county budget request and proposed budget by the county executive, just the library section being passed out as well. And I'll go over a little bit of the history because I know there's a couple of new council members since I was last here. So we were the City of Binghamton Library for decades, and were taken over by the county when the city was in financial crisis, originally in the 80s, and then there was some new contracts negotiated after that. So that's the history, and we really have always had one foot in both the city and the county ever since. And our staff, our county employees, and our budget is managed through the county budget process. But we are independent in the sense that we have a community, we're run by a community board of directors. And given how much funding we receive from you, I'm always happy to appear here and talk to you about the budget. So I don't know what would be the best use of this time for you. Oh, let me go over what I passed out there. So we have the 2024 annual report, which is a state requirement that we produced that. Thank you. Those of you who were on the council at the end of 2024, we'll see your names on there, and we'll get everyone else on there for the next one. And that's just a rundown. It's a kind of a brief overview of what we do, which is quite a lot. I know a number of you are regular library patrons. I see some of you on an almost daily basis. So many of you do know what we do. But we have a lot of traditional library services that you would think of in terms of providing books and DVDs and the like for the community, story time and other programs for kids, programs for adults. But we're also one of the real community centers for the city, which is the other reason that I'm happy to be speaking to you tonight. We are very much integrated into the city. And many times when I see you folks, it's because you're there for meetings. So that's a big part of what we do is host meetings for free for government or nonprofit organizations. And there's a lot going on with that. And then we have quite a few newer and non-traditional programs ranging from providing peer support services for housing, mental health, and addiction to giving away fresh produce at our circulation desk in our produce fridge. So I'll touch a little bit on the budget. It is not a great budget for us, but not because of your contribution. That's because of the county budget picture. So if you're able to actually parse the numbers on there, you'll see that there's some cuts to our county funding. And I can go into that a little bit. It's not affecting our personnel. We are keeping all of the staff that we've added over my 5 years at the library, which is my real biggest priority. It's going to end up impacting primarily the number of books and materials that we can purchase and supplies and the like. And that's across, those cuts exist across the county. It's not something that's targeting the library. There, you'll see that your portion is going up, and this is something that's a little bit awkward about the way the contract is written. So the city's portion of library funding is contractually obligated to go up each year based on the CPI, whereas the county's contribution fluctuates. There's been an overall upwards trajectory, but it'll go up by more than the city funding in years when the county budget looks good, and there are cuts when the county budget looks bad, like this year. And that goes back to, I think, the terms under which frankly, the city was a bit desperate to have the county assume responsibility for the library back in the 80s, and those were the terms of the contract that were negotiated at the time.
I was wondering, since you mentioned that there's going to be cuts probably to new materials, does your staff sit and help people get signed up for the New York Public Library?
Yes.
Okay, because
Yep.
For people watching at home, as a New York State resident, you can get all the materials, the ebooks, the audiobooks, all of that from the New York Public Library, and they have a huge library.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we do send people there all the time.
yeah. So
I both have hopefully this won't get me in trouble on the live stream, but I also still have a LA Public Library card from when I lived out there that I regularly use for their electronic materials as well.
Could I ask, so having not sorted through all of what we just got, does the increase identified on page 94 for the city budget cover the decrease you experienced in the proposed county budget?
No, I wish.
What's the discrepancy there?
So it's a little bit unclear at this time because this doesn't include there's a raise for our staff, a cost of living raise that's budgeted for, but it's not budgeted for under our budget because of the way the county is handling that this year. So we're actually going to end up getting more than what this says. And then also there's a couple of lines that are still being, this is the executive's original proposal, and we're still in discussion about a couple of the lines. But, and then the other piece too is that this includes part of why the county contribution is cut is because this has us drawing on our fund balance. We've been able to build up a healthy fund balance over the last 5 or so years because basically projected, we don't end up spending quite our projected budget, and that goes into our fund balance. So this budget also relies on us withdrawing $350,000 from that fund balance, which I'm on. It's the right way to use the fund balance, I'll put it that way. So it makes it it's a little bit apples to oranges to compare, but it's not nearly, I would say there's probably more than $100,000 between what the city increase is and what the county cuts are.
So just a clarifying question, did you previously state that the gap between the resources that you'll receive and what you need will impact staffing?
No,
No, okay, that's what I understood.
not at this time. I mean, I think that's always the concern long
Okay.
term with the budget picture, but so I just had my 5th anniversary at the county, and one of the most positive things we've been able to do with the resources during pandemic recovery is add significantly to the number of staff to get us back closer to where BCPL was prior to the 2008 financial situation. So we've added significantly to the staff, and this preserves all of those positions and funds, like I said, little fundraisers for them as well. So none of it's coming from personnel costs. We did request additional new positions of the county for this year, and not surprisingly, those, considering the overall picture, the new ones were not funded, but everything that we had previously is maintained.
Okay, so right now you feel financially you all will be in good shape because of the reserves that you have in the.
Yeah, I think this is I mean, there will be a little bit of an impact on the library collections is where it'll be most felt. So it's not without any impact, but I think we can sustain this for a year as part of, what the overall county is being asked to do. It would become an issue if positions are cut. Sorry.
So but you're digging into how much of a cushion is your fund balance? I mean, it's without that contribution, you're in the hole almost $500,000.
Yep. The fund balance is at about $1 million now before this withdrawal. And then because of so especially payroll budgets are never, the county does a good job of over budgeting for payroll and for benefits. So we will end up taking less overall out of that fund balance than what's in the projected budget we do every year. That's how the fund balance gets built up in good years. So I'm not, as of now, I'm not concerned about the sustainability of the fund balance.
Sounds like these documents are still in the works because you said that there's still some finalization that needs to happen with these numbers. Will you be able to provide what the final version of this
Sure.
looks like?
Thank you. I can when we get the final, so the final approval is usually in November, but we should have a pretty clear picture sooner than that, and I can forward it to you all. It is also, it is in the county budget that's published for the public, but it's like page 500 and whatever, so I can send it along.
Josiah, what is the status of the peer support program?
The peer support program right now is being run with UHS peers. So it's fewer hours than it was previously. They're doing good work in the hours that they're there, which right now is 6 hours a week. The longer term plan is to build it back up, both by adding the Catholic Charity peers back who were there for the long hours previously, but also by bringing in a bunch of new organizations that have peers they need to place. So the advantage to working with like UHS is that's funded through their budget, and we're providing the location. We do still have we have a balance in the grant funds that have been running it that were provided by the Clee Foundation. So that was never part of the library operating budget. And so I think through continuing to work with those organizations that aren't going to charge us, we can stretch the funds for several years while still providing the level of services that we've envisioned. Sometime in the future, there'll need to be a plan for funding it in perpetuity.
Do you have a timeline for increasing those hours back up?
So for bringing back the Catholic Charities peers, that's tied to the renovations that we've been working on for a couple of years now, and we're in a code review stage right now. And so that's going to do a bunch of renovations off of that rotunda at the front, totally redo the bathrooms, and put in a security office for room security at the front, because right now they share the library staff workspace. So this will give them a separate space. So the idea is that would that project was going to be tied to bringing back the Catholic Charities Piers and also reopening our second floor bathrooms as well.
I just want to reiterate something that you brought up, which is that in the children's library, they have their own bathrooms and you can ask for a key if you're there with children.
And please do, because it's those downstairs public bathrooms are not intended to, we do what we can, but they're not intended to be kid friendly. So there's a reason those separate bathrooms exist. We're serving some very different populations with different needs, and we have to balance all of that out. I'll mention real quick, I passed around a flyer for, we've been at that building for 25 years, and we're doing a 25th anniversary celebration in the form of a after hours murder mystery event, which is also going to be a fundraiser to help close some of these gaps that I mentioned. And so I passed that out. Tickets are $50, and it's going to go on sale to the public soon. But if any of you are interested in attending, let me know. That should be a good time. And you get to be in the library. It's like a night at the museum thing. You get to be in the library after hours and have a good time.
I wanted to ask you about the Hoopla and Libby. The only statistics in here are new users in each of the years. How many active users do you tend to have on those platforms? And how many things are borrowed through them?
So we do have that data in the larger. This basically takes a subset of the really long statistical report that we do for the state and puts it into a nice package. So I can get you that when I follow up. They're both very successful. And we do still send people to NYPL because that's the best resource, but we are also we've been improving our Libby over time, and there's an ongoing 5-year plan to do that with the 4-county library system as well. But both are heavily used. I will get you the exact numbers.
I've been in a book group that uses Hoopla as kind of gives preference to things that are on Hoopla. I've been very impressed with what's available on there. It's a good resource. They both seem like just kind of interested on how much they've been adopted, but
yes, it's been real successful with us. They charge, so the reason their catalog is so good is they charge per use rather than licensing materials. So that's why. It's basically, we have both because they're two very different models with different advantages, and they're both quite heavily used. And especially for audiobooks, which have always been, for the last couple of decades, audiobooks have been one of the real core library collections and continue to be. And at this point, that's all through those two platforms. My card is in what I pass around as well. Like I said, I see many of you there almost daily anyway, but I'm happy to give you a tour and answer questions individually. It's important to us that we exist within the city of Binghamton. And like I said, it's really one foot in both worlds as far as the city and the county. That's our community and our history as well. So
any other thoughts or questions? All right. Josias, thank you so much for coming in. Have a good evening.
thank you all.
And once again, I will ask for a motion that I don't want to close page 94. No motion. Okay. So with that, I'll welcome down Chief Gardner for the fire department budget presentation.
Okay.
So we're going to open pages 67 through
72, I believe.
70. Ladders, Pierce, 72. Thank you. 67 and 72. Oh, it's right on top of your summary. Right. All right, and Charles Robinson, the comptroller, is down here for moral support, I guess. All right. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening.
Want to take us through your summary?
Yeah, the 2026 proposed budget overview, this Binghamton Fire Department, obviously. It encompasses personnel services, recurring operational expenses, and capital improvements. The operational budget totals $12,259,649.32. This includes personnel costs, utility costs, apparatus, vehicle repairs, fuel costs, operational supplies, and contractual services, and many other items, obviously. Personnel, some highlights and some moderate increases. Well, personnel services obviously accounts for a majority of the fire department budget. Most salaries are set each year by fire contract.
I had a question about firefighters. Can you kind of just explain what grade 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 is?
Yes,
Thank you.
they're basically when we hired them, they're on a 5-year schedule
Okay.
and they get pay increases after each year. And they
After each year or every 5 years?
after each year,
Okay,
and they get the full salary and grade after 5 years.
okay.
Okay, so where was I? Like I said, there's some highlights and some moderate increases. Just went over personnel services. There's a fitness incentive there. People usually have questions about. It's increasing a bit pursuant to contract. It's paid at the end of the year. Off supplies, there's a small increase for rising prices, mostly toner seems to be the culprit. Vehicle parts has raised about $1,000, and that's due to the cost of fluids like oils and grease and things like that. Anyway, uniforms actually had a small increase, and it's basically due to the cost of badges. These badges you see me wearing here, I just bought 3 of them. They're over $1,000.
Ooh,
Yeah, isn't that something?
that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'll
seems like a
start
lot.
making them in my backyard.
All right.
Sure.
All right.
Get it
But
done.
insurance, there's a slight increase. This covers our paramedics. Medical services covers physicals for firefighters. Cost is tied to age, and there's different costs. I think if you're over 35, I believe. Equipment repairs and maintenance increases are related to ladder testing. That's getting more and more expensive every year. Hazmat equipment maintenance, travel and training.
I had a question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I always have a question.
That's okay.
Can you explain to me what out of title is?
Out of title is when, okay, say I'm a firefighter and the lieutenant is on vacation. The senior firefighter will step into that position. This is a contractual thing. So he gets lieutenant's pay for that shift he works as a supervisor.
And with lieutenants, are they management tested or how does that happen?
They're civil service tested. You have to take civil service test to be promoted.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Well, you're welcome.
If we don't mind if we just stay on personnel since we're there for a second. How's the new probationary class doing? They're about what, 6 months in now?
Yeah, they're doing great. It's always no news is good news. I heard nothing but good things about them. The class was outstanding from all reports. They're doing really well, and I've heard nothing negative.
Still at the full, what, 15, 14, 15?
Well, actually, right now we're at 114 total positions.
No, I mean just how many the new guys?
How many?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
about 15. Yeah.
15.
Yeah. But
And
no, it's
then-
interesting. We're at we're down 11 positions right now, believe it or not. after hiring all those guys, we had a couple fatalities, obviously. And, it's retirements. So we'll probably be about the same, about the class of 15 again, next year with projected retirements and current openings.
And how
then-
many do you, oh, go ahead. You go.
So as far as the will there be another test next year? Are we
Yeah,
testing every year? Are you working off?
We just
list.
gave a new test last, I think it was last parade day, actually, it was given. So we have a fresh list to work off of now, so.
All right.
And,
A
looks
good
like-
number of recruits sitting for that test? And then how's
Oh, yeah, it
the
was
testing
over
looking?
100, about 120. So, yeah.
And then how's the test situation look for the promotional grades for the lieutenant's exam and the
Oh,
captain's exam?
I ordered all new tests, I think late last year with civil service, so they're gonna be coming up next year. So we're gonna be in good shape in that regard. So anyway, we have the eight additional firefighters now with a safer grant. You recall, we got that grant?
Yes.
And so that's a total 125 firefighters, and we should be up to full speed after this next class, which hasn't been the case, at least since I've been chief. So that's good news.
Does that also mean a reduction in overtime and out of title pay?
Actually, it's made a big difference. I know that the mayor tracks it pretty closely, and administrative assistant, she gives them reports every week. So it's dropped significantly since the additional firefighters have come online. So anyway, let's see, where was I? Gonna talk about overtime? It's always
Yeah, now we're talking about it. So
Yeah.
we went way over.
yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I mean, some of the factors involved driving overtime is largely contractual and salary increases. Factors contributing to overtime include unfilled positions, sick time, job-related injuries, non-job related injuries, military leave, Family Leave Act, military leave, personal leave, vacation, accumulated leave, training, union business leave, special events, fire investigation, fireworks, shift overrun, multiple alarm fires, and of course, severe weather events will drive a lot of overtime.
So, I mean, as of September 14th, we were at 895,000 for this year, which is getting almost double what we had budgeted for. So do you really think that you're going to bring it back down to 550,000 for 2026?
I think we're going to bring it back down, but whether we bring it back down enough remains to be seen. I know we tend to yeah.
I mean, it looks like you're on pace for $1 million this year, which is significant increase over 2024. even.
Yeah. We had some, I mean, we got hit pretty good when we had the fatality. We had to, the guys in Group C there, we had to give them the day off because they weren't in good shape mentally. And like I said, we got with that, and we're short. We hired 15 firefighters, so we were running short on staff, and we had a lot of events like that going on.
That's enough, because that numbers, we're almost, the year's not over and it's gonna increase. Do you think that money that you're projecting is going to be enough to cover your overtime?
Probably not.
So I think we should
Increase it?
change it just
Yes.
so that we're making a good budget. I don't know if that's 700 or 750,000. But I also don't think you're going to hit that number that we have budgeted right now.
Well, each year we're anticipating the,
We can hear you. It's just,
can you hear me? each year they anticipate, having a relatively full staff, and due to retirements and then the mandated overtime, it just continues to grow. But we don't want to budget for something that may or may not happen. Keeping it low
But
is
it's like-
an incentive to the chief to keep his overtime down.
Absolutely.
But we just explained, it was just explained that the overtime is contractual. So there's, the mechanism for keeping it down is to
Mostly,
keep.
yeah.
Mostly, okay,
Yeah.
all right, mostly, that's a big word there. But generally speaking, it is contractual. And therefore, the main way to keep it down is to keep a full department.
Absolutely. No, that's a key.
So
key element.
what efforts are being made to keep a full department?
Well, we, unfortunately, we can only hire one class a year. We just don't have the staff to do two separate recruitment classes because the staff, they need to go on vacation. It takes 3 months, and it'd be very difficult to run multiple classes, but what we did
Totally
do-
unvetted question, totally unvetted, no research behind this, but is there other municipalities around here that run classes that, I mean, I know other departments send their people to our training. Are there other places we can send?
Right. It's a possibility to go to State Fire in Montour Falls. They run probie classes, and the problem is they usually run the classes in the fall, last I knew. And they need names, numbers, addresses of everybody you're hiring, probably in late spring. So we would have, we hire 15 firefighters, and they can't go to school until fall. We have 15 people sitting around that we can't utilize on the line.
So thank
Because
you.
of the civil service process that you'd have to hire at a specific time and then,
Yeah, it's their State Fire's rules for, we have to follow their rules for up there, but civil service, obviously we have to follow all those rules, and so we usually run our class in, we start it in April. Yeah, then it runs 3 months into August.
Does,
I'm just trying to get some clarification. So the barrier to keeping overtime down would be to have a full staff. However, there's some challenges with that can't be remedied at this time. However, it feels like the suggestion to increase the allotment for the overtime, it's like, keeping it low, I believe you mentioned, is going to incentivize the chief to keep overtime down, but it doesn't seem like it's that's something that could be controlled. So can we revisit just a thought process behind why we don't want to increase that budget line, since it seems like what we just discussed, those challenges are outside of what we can control, right? I think the goal here is to get those projected numbers as closely to what we would consider, and I'm not hearing closely to what we would consider to be most accurate, right? And I'm not hearing a plan to remedy that moving forward. So I'm not sure if I'm missing.
remedy is going to be in the fact that there will be empty positions
Yeah.
that are making up for that overtime, but we don't tend to unfund those positions.
Okay.
well, a lot of grants, right? If I understand it right, the grants don't allow you to unfund the position.
Correct.
We would be in
Right.
trouble.
You
if
would
we
be
did
in
that.
trouble with
Yeah.
our funding sources.
Right. So we're having 8 firefighters paid for by the federal government for the next 3 years. And so that brings our total positions to 125. This spring, when we hire these 15, it's like I said, this will be the first time we've been up to full speed. So by August, we should.
Until someone else retires.
Until somebody else retires. But the department's getting extremely young. And so the retirements are going to slow down. I think there's some light at the end of the tunnel here, but I'm optimistic.
So
Next year.
do probationary firefighters temporarily increase the need for overtime? They need oversight by mentor firefighters and stuff like that? Is there,
they-
what is that situation look like?
Actually, when we're training them, we have training instructors, municipal training instructors that work the line. They come in overtime to teach the firefighters in our probationary class. So that does increase overtime in that respect.
I still think we should be putting out a realistic budget. And I don't think it's going to be realistic to have that number. In year 2023, it was 672,000. So if it was at least in that ballpark, I mean, I believe you that things are going to get better, and like this year was particularly hard. But I just want to have a realistic budget that we're putting together. And I don't know if you want to wait to do motions on lines or.
Can we leave, I mean, we don't have to close this one either, right? So as we continue to discuss the bigger picture.
Yeah, I would, I mean, I mean, for the reason you just explained, I don't want to defund personnel positions. And that's where the transfer will likely be when it comes time. So where do you want to pick up $200,000 that we know where that would be potentially be coming from? I mean, I understand your point. I sympathize with putting stuff where it probably should be, but I think there's reasons not to do that here. But yeah, I would say we could probably put a pin in
I
this
thought
for
his
now.
proposal was 100,000, right? You were talking about 600 and something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about 100,000, but. Yeah.
It might be useful to put a pin in this because I don't think we have enough in the contingency line right now to cover.
No, I know, that's, we'd have to,
Yeah.
we'd have to take from somewhere else. Yes, yes.
We can move past the overtime if you want.
Okay.
Fine.
So in the past, have we found enough in the vacant positions from personnel to make up the gap?
That would be a CR question.
Even if we have retirements and payouts with those retirements and stuff,
Yes,
don't those
we'll have-
usually come from?
Yep, we'll have
Personnel
money
also.
left over. There's always money left over.
So right now, the expectation is, or the conversation is that we're going to leave the overtime as is with the understanding that due to all positions not being filled, that will compensate for the gap that may exist with potential overtime. Am I following? Okay.
So,
Does that
yeah,
sound correct?
if I understand it right, those
Okay.
15 that we're gonna be hiring don't get hired until April, which means there's several months even before they go into training. Right, so,
Yeah,
and they're at,
we'll hire them in April and they
Yeah.
finish school in August.
right,
So in August, they'll go on the line.
Right.
That'll.
but in terms of the money, they're not in the budget? Are we already taking into account that they don't start until April, or are we acting like they start?
No,
January.
no, because, the probationary is
Or-
47.5 and we
Yeah, it
budgeted
already
them at
factors
35.8.
in.
Right, and they're in at starting at 4-1.
I see the note.
Chuck, why is on the last line on personnel service, the grade change adjustment a negative number? What does that signify?
I had another question too after that.
You're talking about, Oh, the grade change adjustments?
Yes.
Um.
What does that mean and why is it negative?
Because they changed it on their anniversary date. We budget their salaries for the whole amount for the whole year, but they're
They
basically.
don't necessarily get promoted at
Right, they get it on
January
their-
1.
Right, they get it on their anniversary date, which could be August, September, whenever. So that's the savings. Before everybody's anniversary date, that's gonna go to the next level.
Thank you.
I had a question. Now, what happens next year if we're like, if we're at, like, if all these positions are filled, what happens if and we go overtime again in our budget, like what happens? Like, are you guys gonna do the same thing again? Like, is this gonna be a repeating cycle to fill in the gaps for overtime? Or are we just doing this year? Cause if you stay every year giving out the test and you get to where you need to be as far as capacity, filling in those positions, then what happens after that? Like, how do you cover that overtime then now?
You mean how we're gonna budget for,
Yes.
if you're just assuming that we're gonna have a full staff?
Yeah.
I mean, they will have overtime regardless of whether they have a full staff or not. In the long term, overtime probably should go up like next year just due to salaries,
Okay.
at least. But like he said, there's very little, I would assume, reading all these descriptions, that he probably has control over, except for maybe shift overruns. He does have, I know the union has a way that they calculate overtime, right, by shift.
Oh, yeah, I'm not aware of that now.
I do not know either.
So in summation, if I understand it right, if we successfully hire everybody and fill all the positions, we expect this amount of overtime to be a reasonable number. And if we don't have a full fire department, then we expect the hole that's created by the additional overtime to be filled by the money that's freed up in the personnel lines.
Unused salary positions.
Yes.
Mhm.
Would you mind explaining the paramedic adjustment and the education adjustment as well? Oh.
They're contractual adjustments for paramedic and EMS duty and education.
Correct.
Is there a reason, I guess, is there a reason why the one is broken out into like 45 pieces and the other one is broken out into just one?
I don't, which lines are you talking about? I don't know.
I'm
It's in
I'm
the-
in personnel services. At the bottom of, it gets broken out. There's paramedic adjustment, education adjustment, and then grade changes adjustment. The education adjustment, there's 45 at 400, and then the paramedic is one at 232,400.
Why is it?
Is that bumps they get for
CC. Is that the BCC?
What's the? Oh.
Is it bumps for having a bachelor's or a master's and there was 45 people that get it?
It could be. The other contract.
Yeah, I do.
Are you in the contract now?
Yep. So the education adjustment is, I don't know what that is.
If it's in the contract, I can look at it later.
Mhm.
We don't need to spend too much time on it. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
the paramedic
Mhm.
adjustment is just,
It's for when they're riding on the.
yeah. So, the paramedics.
I'm still.
Yeah, when you become a paramedic, you get a one-time stipend of $3,000, I believe. And then the educational incentive is based on the $400 or $600 for either an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
It's in the incentive section of the contract.
Incentive pay. Yeah, okay. So, yes,
Do we have a good balance of paramedics and firefighters that are not paramedics? What's that balance look like?
oh, okay.
Relate as well, that we don't have enough?
No, we have, currently we have about 50 paramedics out of the, yeah,
Target.
yeah, it's around 50. It's around 50. It's fun, if you have too many, then the paramedics don't actually ride enough. They need so much ride time to keep up with their skills and that, and they, we don't want them going weeks, without being on the ambulance. But yeah, there's a good balance there right now.
So for the paramedic adjustment, it's based off a percentage off their base pay if they have the paramedic certification. And so this number is based off a percentage times the base amount that's included as part of their salary.
So is that a one time or is it?
It's as long as they have the certification in place, they get
Okay.
the percentage increase on their base pay.
So yeah, that went up pretty significantly, the paramedic adjustment, but yes,
And
it's good that we have.
again, it's a percentage based off of salary. So as salaries go up, that has to go up too.
Okay.
So maybe this might be more of a CR question. As far as insurance, the paramedic insurance bit and our ambulance billing service, when's the last time those have been looked at as far as going out for another quote or anything?
The ambulance billing, I know it was done several years ago. I'm not exactly sure. We just, the ambulance, for the ambulance EMT insurance is renewable, and I just renewed it for a year.
I imagine that's kind of specialized, is there? But
It is, yes.
All right. Any other questions at the moment? Do you want the chief to pick up where he left off here?
And the educational benefit is also set out in the contract. They get that amount based off of whether they hold either a 2-year associate's or if they have a bachelor's in a fire-related degree. And there's 2 tiers for it. So like if you have an associate's, it's one amount. If you have the bachelor's, it's another amount. I'm assuming this is based off of what they currently have at the department, probably with a little cushion built in.
their support programs for people who are actively firefighters and want to pursue like an online degree or something so that they can eventually get those stipends.
Sure, sure. I think that's what we're just talking about. They're encouraged and we will pay for a certain amount of education for them to take courses, and that's kind of a first come, first serve thing. But if they get it in, especially in fire science or paramedic science, they're eligible for that educational incentive.
Do you want to move on to capital? Councilman Kavanaugh?
Well, we kind of, I think the one thing that was highlighted during equipment repairs and maintenance is talking about ladder testing. Is that a unique
Yes.
item this year? And there's an item in here for cardiac care monitor maintenance and self-contained breathing apparatus maintenance and stuff. But we also have capital requests for new stuff for both of those. So is that going to change possibly?
I think,
And the stretcher contract and
yeah, the stretcher contracts are just always there, whether they're new or used. They come in, they maintain them every year. We pay them that certain amount of money, and it also includes batteries and parts and labor. That's kind of a necessary evil. Those stretchers, they're very expensive. Not real high maintenance, but when they break, it's very expensive.
okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move to the capital pages for fire, which
I
is
do
going.
have a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
I see that the fitness incentive, and I don't know if this was discussed while I was downstairs, but I see that the fitness incentive is a contractual obligation, but can you just clarify exactly what that is? I'm not familiar with it. The fitness.
Oh, the fitness. Oh, yeah, that's
I don't know
a
what that
fitness incentive. They have to, we do a test for new firefighters called the CPAT test. And they have to go through a series of exercises. And so anyway, we have the firefighters to make sure they're maintaining their physical agility, go through that test, and there's an incentive program for them to pass that test.
So currently it's 68 individuals that you're anticipating to pay out that $300
Yes, yes.
for. So wouldn't that be offered to everyone? Like, I know that, is it budgeted for the new hires that will be coming on? Or
Right. They, not the first year, but the following year.
reflects the current individuals that could potentially receive that incentive?
Correct.
Do all folks typically
This,
receive it? What is
it's
it
not
usually?
mandatory.
Okay.
I know a lot of guys would love to see me in there, but not 100%, but it's well attended.
Okay, so this may be an area where there might be some funds left over, or,
Possible.
thank you.
Done it yet.
At what date do we know if there's fund left over? It sounds like there's a date when people do the exam and then they either passed it or didn't.
Oh.
So at what point do we know whether or not there's remaining funds?
Oh, for the agility? It'll probably be in the fall when we get the test.
Okay, so
Or
fall
coming up soon,
2026,
Yeah,
like October.
yeah.
We're looking
yeah.
at October next year.
Usually about now, the personnel director, monitors the test along with the fire department.
Ready to move to capital?
No, I'm looking backwards. With the paramedic training, is that a once a year training that you know how many people have done it at a certain time, or is that something that trickles in and people take courses in different places?
It's monthly training,
Monthly, okay,
continuing medical education. Yeah.
okay.
All right, now can we move to capital lines? You all set?
Open to page 202, please. Okay, Chief,
Ready?
202.
Okay, the first item in the capital improvements line is a fire truck. It's a new Quint for the West Side Fire Station. It's priced at
What
1
does
million.
quint mean?
What's that?
What does that mean? Quint.
But it has 5 different functions. So in theory, if it's staffed properly, so. But the price is $1,875,000. So it will replace our current SUP and aerial. That's also an aerial. And it's a 2012 aerial. It's been serving the West Side Fire Station with more than 70,000 miles on it and 8,280 accumulated engine hours and pump hours. The current Quint currently doesn't meet many of the current safety requirements or standards set forth by the NFPA. These safety features are critical to the safety of our firefighters and include traction control, seatbelt warning systems, anti-lock brakes, airbags, pressure-resistant cabs for rollover safety, minimum requirements for lighting and slip-resistant steps. But our mechanic, he's a long list of things he's worried about. He's advised us that the air tanks for the brake system are going to need replaced in about a year. Aerial cables, pulleys, blocks will need to be also replaced within a year. Body is showing corrosion and will continue to deteriorate. Potential for an in-frame overhaul for the diesel engine within probably next to 1 to 3 years. We just did one of those. That was in excess of $30,000. He also said it was currently exceeding normal emissions and repair costs, corrosion issues due to operating in the Northeast. It affects the electrical systems as far as grounding and wiring, et cetera. So
what I'm hearing is a lot of 1-year problems, but I
Yeah.
understand the lead time for one of these trucks is about 2 years.
correct.
So are we going to be in a pickle?
Yeah, well, we're hoping, he's looking, yeah, well, we're hoping to, get ahead of some of the stuff, like the aerial cables and blocks need to be replaced in a year, but it depends on whether it passes or fails the aerial testing. So it's likely, but not 100%. So you're right, there is a current 2-year build time. It could be as soon as 18 months, but it depends on the production line itself. And so yeah, we could be in a pickle. We were in a pickle this year. We took some hits this year. So.
I know we've had some success in the past with getting grants to help support the new fire trucks or fire equipment. Did you explore any of that so far for the?
Yeah,
This?
I was a grant writer for years here. And it's very, very tough to get rigs out of Homeland Security for some reason. Some of the volunteer outfits, they have 30, 40-year-old rigs, and basically with round headlights used to be the rule. They could get replaced. But we haven't applied for basically an apparatus based on that, that they're very tough to get.
And is that the only funding opportunity that you think would be through Homeland Security, or is there?
It's the only one I'm aware of that would come
Okay.
up with that kind of cash anyway.
So Chuck, when do you actually have to go out for funding for this?
Whenever he thinks he can get the vehicle delivered.
But the authorization's enough to put in the order.
Right. And then if we're not going to get it until 2027, then we would actually borrow the money in 2027 or 28.
Probably 28. We would take delivery on it, but
I'm still, I don't know what our plan is for the next year. So what happens if this truck fails aerial inspection? So, I mean, how much of a bullet are we going to have to bite for repairs on a 13-year-old vehicle?
it's hard to tell. I'm not sure what the pricing would be like on the cables. I'm sure they're expensive. Like the current tower that we have that tower on order. It just had I think 3 or 4 fuel injectors go bad. That was $7,000 just for the fuel injectors. So they're very expensive to fix. So we just got to hope for the best. I mean, hopefully the engine, he keeps careful eye on the engine. Hopefully that won't be a problem. That would be the big expensive item, obviously.
So I guess it'll be my turn to harp on kind of a written capital plan that would have anticipated this succession need for this vehicle maybe last year.
Right. Yeah, my chief in charge of apparatus has a written plan, replacement plan. So, and this is about the time it was projected to replace it.
I said, I think we funded another engine last year or the year prior that's on order now, and they have long lead times to your point. So
Yeah.
we're trying to get them in kind of spaced out as possible.
Right, but I think if these needs seem to be getting critical to the point where we might run into, we have to do expensive maintenance on the old thing because the new thing is. I think we might be essentially one cycle behind on this need. We'll find out.
I guess my question though, along those lines, is that for like anticipated vehicle repair, right? Is there any additional funds added to those lines in anticipation that like the current vehicle that we have is going to encounter some issues?
Well, we have the mechanic has a budget for vehicle outside repairs and parts. I think it's what it was, about 80,000. 80, yeah. So hopefully it can be absorbed into his budget. Thus far.
Okay, that was my question. Like,
Yeah.
Is that a consideration, right? Has that forward thinking been kind of factored into these numbers, knowing that that vehicle is on its last leg potentially? And although we hope that it's going to do what it needs to do, like just in anticipation that if there is a problem, the repair can come from that line.
Yeah, and he's a very talented diesel mechanic, so he can, if he's got the time, he can do a lot of these repairs himself.
Okay, so currently it says parts and outside repair at $70,000, because everything else in terms of oil and tires sounds like it's just regular maintenance, right? So
Correct.
we're just looking at that one line of that $70,000 for parts and repair.
We typically don't budget for anticipated catastrophic loss. In the budget, in the fire department, police department, whatever lines are for the normal wear and tear, replacement of vehicle parts and everything. We can't anticipate
Okay.
5 accidents and lots of
But
things
if it
happening
sounds like we're gonna have at least
throughout
one,
a year.
it sounds like
So-
we're gonna have at least one, so
So
maybe
that's-
budget for at least one.
So if you're allowing that, I will do that next year.
Well, I'm just curious of, I think that our role at this point is to understand the thought process that goes into these figures, right? And so I'm new to this process. So when I see that number and it's not broken down but then we're having a conversation about a vehicle that, may or may not make it, like, I'm just seeking that clarification. So what I'm hearing is that no, there's not necessarily any funds set aside in case that 13-year-old vehicle experiences some serious issues.
Not specifically, because
Okay.
it's the budget for the department as a whole. So
Yes.
if that one comes first and it needs a cable or fix the tower or whatever, yeah, it'll get
Okay.
fixed, and then
We'll figure out the rest as
figure out the rest as we go.
we'll be seeing you requesting some shifts in funds. Okay.
All right. Hazmat and utility trucks.
Okay, actually, they're not really a hazmat truck. That's kind of a typo, but we're in need of 2 utility vehicles. EMS 21 is based at the Sullivan Training Site, utilizes our EMS command vehicle. The current vehicle is year 2005 pickup truck that is near the end of its service life. New vehicle will consist of a pickup truck upfitted with a utility box. Utility compartments will store EMS equipment, firefighter rehabilitation equipment and supplies, triage kits, general supplies for EMS command. So, like I said, it's kind of near the end of its life, and it's in fairly good shape. But like I said, it's a 2005, so you got corrosion. Start to develop electrical issues. Utility 21 is a truck utilized and based out of the fire department's fleet maintenance facility. This is our mechanics vehicle. The current vehicle is a 2011 truck, pickup truck that's also getting close to the end of its service life. The new vehicle will consist of a pickup truck upfitted with a utility box. The utility compartments will store mechanical equipment and diagnostic equipment. The truck is also utilized for snow removal at all the fire department facilities. So our
So it gets
mechanic,
a plow attachment.
what's that?
So it gets a plow attachment.
Yeah. Our mechanic wears a lot of hats, so he plows the snow and repairs the vehicles.
Okay, so to clarify, hazmat is a typo. So what you just outlined is utility use for the trucks.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
The amount identified, the 216,000, is the same amount as 2 med cars that were requested in June, but that is not this ask, correct?
Correct. So
Are
we use the same estimate. They're going to be almost
okay,
identical in configuration.
okay. Are the 2 med cars that were requested in June still a department need?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and they're not otherwise identified in this proposed budget, correct?
Not in this one, no.
Okay.
Yep.
Is one of the things, so I mean, we've had quite a bit of conversation around those 2 med cars that were identified as a need. And one of the options I think that certainly we encouraged and would be in support of is their inclusion in the 2026 budget. Since they're not in here, has an alternative been identified?
I believe that you said there was a lot of discussion on them. There was, what's that, block grant money or something that may or may not have been available. I'm not sure. There was still some discussion going on about it, but
The CDBG funding was rejected by council, and then an alternative, which I see we'll discuss the turnout gear here in a minute. I think just in terms of council conversations, we want to make sure that if the option to include it in the budget exists, that it's something we're addressing for 2026 planning. So I'm hearing you say that it's still a need.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
The capital fund. Great idea. That's what you want to explain to them.
But yeah, the new capital. Switch up with. Where is? Where does this new A line actually go?
What do you mean, the equipment repair auction?
No. The new capital fund for turnout gear that we're trying to establish and get off the ground.
That's in the transfer to capital. I can talk about that when I do my part of the budget, if
Okay,
you like, or
I mean,
it's going to be a new, what would you call it, annual transfer from the general fund, so we can continue to properly outfit the firefighters with turnout gear without having to, you know, guess how many firefighters we're going to have, how many turnout gear we're going to need every year. This way we can fund the capital fund and use it as we need. $100,000 each year gives us about 15, 16 sets. And if we continue doing that, that should properly maintain their turnout gear according to the NFPA standards, and also allow them to have a second set, which I think the chief has talked about before, about when their sets are down with soot and fire stuff, that they have a second set in case they get another call out within I don't know how long it takes to clean a set, like 2 days.
Probably.
Yeah, so
And they drive.
it's 2 days with a firefighter. If he only has one set, he's basically without a fire suit.
and then this pace of replacement, you think, chief, will meet the ongoing needs? You folks have had that discussion, and
I believe it. I believe it will.
We talked about it this afternoon. I think 15, 16 sets should do it. But like I said, this is just the new plan starting out. So at least we're getting that rolling.
Yeah, it feels like a more, I would say, proactive, more strategic planning approach to this gear in particular, relative. So back to the 22 sets that were identified as a need in June, we got some information, but not many details within the last couple of days regarding a grant that was identified for those 22 sets of turnout gear. Can you share more about that?
That was just, a couple days ago. So, our new fire marshal is a very talented grant writer. We applied for it. I believe it was last year, and it was very early this year, and it was just awarded. So, it's about I think it's about 57 sets of gear.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
more
I
than
know.
double what was initially needed.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
we just I said we recognize a problem. We kind of throw the kitchen sink at it,
Yeah.
apply for grants, ask council, the mayor, everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
So.
any other questions for the chief? Fire budget?
think previously, council's brought up diversity on the fire department.
Yeah.
Has there been any work initiatives to expand the number of the number of people and the backgrounds of the number of the people that are taking the fire exam?
Not directly, but I mean, we always encourage it. We get a lot of questions. Certainly we some of our new hires in that last class, they were from a more diverse background, I would say. And we'll
Yeah.
continue. I mean, I always especially
Something the police department has been pretty good on is
yeah,
looking like the city. So
right.
it's kind of come up. So
Okay.
just keeping that in your mind.
All right, all right.
What are the prerequisites for the fire department? Like, what do you have to have? Like, what age? Like, how does it?
I believe you have to be 18 and have a high school diploma.
Maybe, if there are shortages, maybe start reaching out to like Binghamton High School, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. We actually, we did do that. We were at the Binghamton High School. We go to these job fairs. I
Mhm.
forgot about that, but we do that. I think we're at BCC and we're at BU, I believe. They have an event down there. And I'm sure we were at that job fair they have at the Binghamton High School.
There's also the civil service requirement as well as the
Test,
fitness
yeah.
test requirement. Yeah.
Yeah. The physical test too, physical.
Yep, I'm sorry. I didn't finish. Yes, yeah, we have the physical agility test, the civil service test. Like you said, you have to live in Broome County. You have to be, like I said, 18. So. Maximum age? Why you, my job? But,
We didn't catch that in the mic.
I'm sorry, I asked the maximum age.
Chuck wants a career change. So,
I mean, maybe get with Flanders and the police department or some of the folks that are doing the recruitment over there because they're really out there. They're everywhere. with
Yeah, is there a
recruitment.
specific firefighter that's kind of in charge of those recruitment efforts, or it's whoever's available to go to XYZ job fair, or is there a?
We work, the benevolent, does a lot of that stuff in the union, they get involved in that aspect of it. I talked to Kent in HR, he encourages me, and like I said, I passed the word down to the guys, and we said, we get out to these local events. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the police do, but.
You're in the building, so maybe
Oh, yeah.
maybe reach out.
They don't always let me in there sometimes.
I can tell you that earlier this year, at like a council member Middleton was there too, at a preschool graduation, about like half the kids said that they're planning on becoming firefighters.
Good.
So if you can stick it out for 15 more years,
15.
another good recruitment class.
Yeah.
That definitely, they wanted to be firefighters and McDonald's workers. So yeah,
Is it-
definitely.
Well, they can do both. They can
Yeah.
work at McDonald's on their day off. So.
Well, thank you so much for your service and thank you to all the firefighters. Your job is thankless and we're very
Thank-
grateful for
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I know they'll appreciate that. I'll pass that along.
Thank you very much, Chief. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And once again, I think there's desire to leave this page open, so I will ask for a motion to close the fire department pages and hope I don't see anything. Okay. So, folks, we're through a few presenters. Do we need a bio break or do we want to
Yes.
press ahead?
Yes, please.
All right. Kind of we
And-
will.
I'll second.
All right. Motion and second to adjourn for 5 minutes.
Oh, fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you in 5. 10. See you in 10.
Thank you.
All right.
That sounds better. That's 10.
He has.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Now bring down Chris Slider, Director of Building and Code, and open the budgets to page 102 and 103.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening. Want to take us through your overview?
So the proposed budget for Building and Code Department for 2026 is relatively flat. You're not hearing that? Mm-hmm. What? Okay. The budget for the department's going to be flat this year. No increases, no decreases, no capital changes, no anticipated retirement, no vacant positions. We're in a pretty good position this year with where everything is. And we just kind of want to ride that wave and keep it going.
So
How is it that you're staying stable with, I presume, union increases and things like that?
That's the only thing that went up.
Okay.
Is the personal services
Yeah,
line.
that's out of our control. That's in the CBA.
So in personnel, and this may be reflected elsewhere, the reimbursement that the department gets from CDBG, typically around 250K if I'm ballparking, is that identified in here somewhere?
No,
That's in the revenue lines.
Okay.
I can go through those. I think I went through them with Robert, but I can go through them.
Okay. The follow-up question on that, when we first started conversations early this year around implementing proactive code protocol, one of the supporting materials and aspects of our discussion was related to the potential of adjusting officer jurisdictions to maximize CDBG reimbursement Was any additional consideration given to that as an opportunity?
I'm not, how does that look? What specifically did you have in mind?
Sure. So just the proposed restructure to maximize that CDBG reimbursement that was submitted in March and then discussed in May with Planning Committee was really identifying specific jurisdictions that would be comprised of CDBG eligible neighborhoods solely. And then that restructure would be reassigning likely to code enforcement officers to those newly created jurisdictions so that essentially their salaries could be as close to 100% reimbursed as possible.
I've had discussions with Steve Carson from housing, and there aren't any neighborhoods that don't have islands within the neighborhood that are not CDGB eligible. So it's really difficult to carve out a space and say this entire space is eligible for CDGB reimbursement. He has a different approach to receiving those funds, which was a different metric that he's using to measure how much of the services are allocated to LMI.
Right. I did speak with Steve when this was introduced, and he confirmed that it would be possible.
He administers the CDGB funds.
Okay. Okay, so not reflected in any of the personnel pieces at the moment. Okay, thank you.
Any luck with an electrical inspector? How are we looking on that front?
That position's eliminated. We don't have.
We're not trying anymore.
No.
Okay.
Yes, it's not funded.
I didn't realize it was because we decided not to try.
We had no applicants for over a year. There's nobody interested in doing that. Which is pretty common. Most municipalities do use third-party electrical inspectors.
And how common is the plumbing inspector to be filled in the municipality of our size and to have not use third party for that?
There are no third-party plumbing inspection companies.
Okay.
And we got really lucky when one of the board members from the Board of Plumbing Examiners was at an age where it was beneficial for him to leave the trade, but he still had an interest in being involved in some way.
Okay.
So the calculation is that the cost of paying for outside electrical inspector is cheaper than raising the salary offer for the position to try and recruit.
The people that do the project pay the inspector. So it's nothing on the city, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Am I seeing the code supervisor and vacant property officer combined into one role?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at you. Did you nod?
Yeah, no, I said, yeah. What's
Oh.
the question? Is that one role?
That's one role?
That is, yeah.
Okay. Is that currently one role?
Yeah.
How long has it been one role?
Since 2024.
Okay. And that's a position that can, like, both aspects of those positions can be effectively accomplished in the one FTE.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So all of the responsibilities and aspects of both roles can be accomplished in that single position?
We're giving it a try. Yeah.
Okay, and so if you've been giving it a try since 2024, how is that working out?
Seems to be working.
Could you remind me the difference between a code enforcement officer and a code inspector?
Code inspector is an entry level position. Code enforcement officer is a tested position that you're eligible to apply for after you've earned 4 years of service as an inspector.
So it's tested after 4 years. Okay.
So I'm looking at your professional services line for this year.
Mhm.
In 2025, we had budgeted for 20,000.
Yeah.
And then now we're just under 70,000 for the year. What happened there?
It's still 20,000 for 2026.
Yeah, but we went over for 2025.
You know what? It's actually 2 professional services in there. One of them is for third-party plan review, and one of the other services for process servers, serve tickets.
So we just did a lot more process services than anticipated.
The 69,000 was a project that he did last year. It was an RL done in 2024, I believe.
Yeah.
For process serving, it was a special RL.
No, the 2024 RL was for third-party
Yeah.
plan review. That was an RL that had a $60,000 limit in it.
And it just carried over to this year.
It carried over. Yeah, we didn't expend the entire amount. That contract ends in December.
Okay.
And if I recall correctly, you're collecting on permit fees and plan review fees that offset that contract, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
The process server is another service that we utilize for serving tickets to recipients across the country. And this was the first year that our department was administering that program. The first 4 or 5 months were in limbo because the process servers that we're using were not effective. And so it took a while to locate a new one, agree on a master service agreement, have that enacted, and then we started using them in May. So yeah, we didn't really use much of that 20,000 until May. And I don't know, I don't have a 1-year history to say that 20 is sufficient. It's hard to estimate. The bills so far have ranged between 2,000 and 4,000 per month, depending on the number of tickets.
Is this related to the work with the attorney with Elizabeth Rosso's work?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how we serve tickets to people who are being brought to court for housing code violations.
So I'm sure you've discussed that division of labor, and it makes sense to keep up to the ticketing part in the department before sending it over to legal. I mean, we haven't done legal's budget yet, but they're asking for I think a paralegal to handle code cases and such.
Yeah,
So
our department was asked to take the responsibility of administering that professional service.
So you have one administrative person in the office, right?
Right.
So who is taking on the brunt of doing this? Is it the actual inspectors? Is it keeping them out of the field?
No, it's the administrative assistant.
Is handling all the calls and the people that walk in and doing this?
Okay. Yep.
I think, I mean, we haven't been to the legal department's budget, but my understanding from the budget address is that there's going to be an uptick in basically the work that Elizabeth Rosso is doing, as well as a paralegal to help facilitate that work. So wouldn't it be reasonable to anticipate that you're going to need more money for process services?
I wouldn't be able to answer that with any certainty, and I think that the position that was mentioned in the budget address was reflective of the fact that Ms. Rosso is already overburdened with a number of cases, that the extra person and the extra paralegal would help facilitate the work that she's already handling.
Okay.
So you believe this is enough to handle the amount, because on your end, that stuff goes out even if she's backlogged. Is that what I'm getting? So like this is already going out even though she's
Yeah.
backlogged. Okay.
Yeah, and then, the courts, of course, oversee the docket and decide how many cases can be arraigned on any given Wednesday. If it gets backlogged, then the courts decide to postpone the arraignment till a different date.
So I know it's not reflected in this proposal, but the third-party planning review that you mentioned ends in the contract that ends in December. What are I wasn't a part of council last year. Would you mind just briefly sharing what the identified outcome or expected deliverables of that planning review are?
Yeah, it's just cutting the red tape. It's cutting the wait time for plans to be reviewed. It's handling. It's providing a more comprehensive review of namely large projects, the 20 million, the $35 million projects. I know we have the Vanguard. We have drawings for the Vanguard apartments on Clinton Street, and that is enormous. And to make sure that all of the ADA requirements are in compliance, along with the fire safety and the building standards, we really, as a city, are benefiting from the services of a company that would allocate up to 15 engineers and architects to review these drawings. They are also New York State code officials, and each one of those engineers specializes in a different trade. And so there's one that is just incredibly knowledgeable about ADA compliance. There's another one that just does mechanical, heating, air conditioning, ventilation. And all of those, with every new edition of the New York State Code, become more and more complex. So being able to have a quick turnaround time that enables these projects to go to the state for their funding, and then make sure that the housing that's being provided, namely a lot of it's a low to middle income, are safe and suitable and well-built and have some longevity to them.
It also helps from a staffing perspective, because with these large scale plans, like, we almost don't have the personnel to throw at them for review. And so having that capacity to say, hey, we have these larger, more complex plans, please look them over for us, because they basically step in as our building inspector for those.
But then we don't have to fund that position for an entire year. We're given the ability to only use it when it's required, and then not continue to pay until we need it again.
How do you feel about the kind of call volume and caseload for individual inspectors in the office? I know there was discussions over the years back and forth about more positions or fewer positions with more money behind them, and where does that balance?
Yeah,
Now.
I've worked for the last 5.5 years to get this department to the place where it is today. We have 6 highly qualified inspectors. They all have a reasonable territory that they're able to work and maintain productivity and keep up with the demands for those neighborhoods. And I'm really happy with the way that things are going. We just brought on 3 new inspectors in April, and they are either already experienced or catching on very quickly and being very productive right out of the gate. So we have a fantastic crew right now, and I think the numbers are right where they need to be. I mean, we have good retention. We have no vacancies. and no indication of anybody looking to retire or to change to a different career.
Any other questions or comments for code?
I do.
Yep, yes.
Yeah, so I'm reviewing the 2025 budget or the 2025 budget. And at that time we had I think 5 different positions funded through ARPA. And now we're just funding them straight through the general fund. So that was just temporary boost, and then now we have to fill in the gap where
I think prior to ARPA it was the same way. I mean, that
Okay.
was great to be able to take advantage of the ARPA funds and allocate it to the code office, but the department actually had been funded for 7 inspectors since I started in 2007, and that was all out of the general fund. So we got a reprieve for a couple of years, but we're not really putting it in a position that it hasn't been in before.
Okay. Thank you.
What are you looking forward to doing differently this year?
Well, it would be nice to, you know, to have the retention that I'm hoping for, and just making the most with the limited resources that we have. A lot of these item lines have not gone up in 10, 15 years. So the fact that we're still able to provide you know, professional protection equipment and office supplies and you know, the overtimes and everything for the same amount that we did last year and the year before and the year before that, it's no easy feat, but you know, with some diligence and some careful spending and keeping an eye on these line items. we
What
should
about
be able to-
your job sparks joy?
I think it's just helping to preserve the you know, the neighborhoods and make sure that we're providing public safety, life safety and fire safety to the homeowners and occupants of rental units.
So I'm the amount of work that's getting placed with this new with the new ticketing and service program you've been ramping up. Is there anything for example, FOIL requests coming in and stuff from property owners, are those still able to be dealt with in a reasonably quick manner?
Yeah, and we do have the code supervisor who's auditing work weekly and making sure that requests for service are responded to in a timely manner, that notices with reinspection dates are being reinspected on the date, that nothing's lagging behind, that we're staying current with the amount of complaints that come into the office and taking appropriate action when we are unable to confirm compliance.
Okay.
How does it work when people are being targeted and being a victim of crime, and in terms of their timelines for repairing things that that were done by others to their property? Like vandalism, like spray painting and damage?
That's a really tough situation to be in. So we do have an ordinance that says if your private property is the victim of vandalization, specifically graffiti, once we're made aware of it and send the notice out, you have 15 days from receipt of the notice to mitigate that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a color match, but you do have to remove the tag or the symbol or whatever's there, discouraging more vandals from showing up and using that as their canvas and kind of dissuading the original violator from thinking this is a good place to return. And it's unfortunate that the homeowner or the building owner has to bear the burden of paying for somebody else's vandalism, but the broken window theory is, you know, what's been utilized when that legislation was drafted, and it's the idea that if you can fix it and show no tolerance for that kind of activity, then it lets everybody know that our eyes are open, we're watching. It's not going to go unnoticed.
I had a question. In the revenue line, there's the vacant property registration. Can you just talk about how that works? Because it keeps going down. I think it's here.
I don't have that page. That's not part of my budget.
I just had a question regarding it.
yeah.
How does that work? But
I don't know what
it's
do you have a page number, line
Yes.
number?
page 9, Chuck. Sorry.
I'm assuming that's a revenue line.
Yeah, yes, I wanted to know how
I
that.
wasn't prepared to talk about those yet, but
Okay.
um, what was the number again?
It's 42,189.
That's where they pay the fines for keeping their property vacant. If I recall
zoning
from our
compliance letters.
meeting.
And the vacant property registration?
I'm not seeing it. Okay. And here's the total for those. Okay.
So I guess
We have that
You-
here or?
no, I think Chris is the right person to ask. So we're 3/4 of the way through the year and you're at less than half of your expected revenue. So I guess how is vacant property registration going? Are we have fewer registrations because we have fewer vacant properties? Are we not quite keeping up on inventory? Is there a compliance problem? What's the
Spending a lot of time being a supervisor,
I'm sorry?
Right, but
spending a lot of time being a supervisor. Like why is the number for vacant property registration not hitting targets?
I think the 2024 revenue was higher than the 23. So once that position was brought over to the building and code department, it outperformed the year prior. And I think it's yeah, I think that's probably, I mean, it's a dynamic system. So I think the revenue's higher than that at this point. I think it's closer to 30. You know, we do have maybe some, you know, legal issues that we could look at. These are, you know, registrations with a fee. Again, we can't call it a tax, with a fee associated. And, you know, if we get compliance, the numbers, you know, reflect that. And when we don't, we're kind of in a tough position.
Is there less vacant properties?
There could be. I really don't know if there are fewer. Yes, there are fewer vacant properties this year than there were last year. And we also have the legal matter in that a failure to register a vacant property and pay the fee is a misdemeanor, which has to be a trial by jury. And when you have a couple hundred of those or 50 of those, that's probably more than our corporation council can handle at this time. We can look at maybe making that a fee that can be rolled over onto taxes and avoid, you know, clogging the courts with those cases.
so a civil fee might be more useful than a criminal case in that sort of situation.
Yeah.
Is that a recent change? You said the legal issue,
No, I think that's.
so it's always been that way?
Yeah.
So if the money eventually comes in, this is a Chuck question. Where does it go back to the year that the case was filed in, or does it go into the year that the money actually comes in?
Usually we try to do accruals in the year that it was done, but once the year is closed, we have to put it in the current year.
Is there any data on this? Like, can we see something like kind of how that works?
Yeah, I don't have any data.
I think specifically what would be helpful in terms of data and for me would be if you're representing a reduction in the number of vacant properties, a representation going back ideally 3 to 5 years of the number of vacant properties and associated fees for the projected revenue we should be getting and the discrepancy between that and what we're actually getting. Sorry, Chuck, I know you're taking notes. Let me know if you want me to repeat any of that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think $60,000 is a good estimate for that revenue line. Based on how this year is going.
– 2024, it says it was around 50,000.
Any other questions?
I guess I think I would appreciate an updated number for the page 9 line for the revenue for the other home and community services line.
This page is not open, so I don't think we can discuss it.
Okay. Eventually, I'll be asking that then.
In 2023, looks like they had 130,000 here.
Yeah,
23 was before this position was merged. You said 2024, they merged the code supervisor with the vacant property officer, or
That's right.
there was no vacant property officer.
No, there's always been a vacant property
Okay.
officer.
So
He was-
2023, it was 130,000 came in from vacant property registration. So twice as, it makes sense if you cut a position in half, that you would get half.
yeah. Pretty clear connection. I mean, even though this is the vacant property officer is represented in the code
Almost immediately dropped off.
budget, I think all of the information that we've asked for when we do open page 9 is really the only way we can have that conversation. I was more reiterating that for, yeah. Sorry, I was just saying that, like, given your note that page 9 is not currently open. I also think we're waiting on, like, we have that $130,000 number. But to have a fully informed conversation, it would help to have those numbers from.
And the only reason why I mentioned it, because he was here, I didn't.
Oh,
know that.
no, I think it's relevant for sure, particularly given the vacant property officer piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was appropriate to bring up. I just don't think we can have a completely informed conversation
Taken
until we
without-
get those numbers from Chuck.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think this is a good start to the conversation. Now we
Yes.
know in advance what we are going to be looking for.
Yes.
correct my statement though, because I was looking at the budgeted amount as opposed to the expended amount. So it's not twice as much.
Okay. So what did they actually bring in 2023?
I have the 2022 was 61,000, was over 61,000.
Okay. Okay. All right. So more in line with what we're seeing. Close anyway.
Is with a full-time
Person.
person.
So we should talk about this later, but they might be out, they might in fact, since it's only half-time position now, be outperforming the previous full-time person. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I had this right before I said it into the microphone, but when Jonathan's position had been in the planning department because it was funded through the city's RISE grant, which came out of planning. When he moved into the code department, that was like a new supervisor position. So it wasn't a merging of a supervisor role there. There was no supervisor role that was sort of like cut in half and split with this vacant property officer. It was an addition.
For that clarification.
Sure.
Okay, folks, we ready to move on? All right. Thank you, Chris. Have a good night. And I think we will, again, I will entertain a motion to close these pages and no motion.
They do have fees.
Oh, I think there are no fee changes though,
There are
but yeah, we can
no
open
fee
those.
changes.
So
Was
that'd
the
be-
thought process to not change fees?
That we are on par with other municipalities with the rate that we're charging. That's a couple that are charging less than us and not really many that are charging more. So
Thank you.
I believe we also made adjustments last year.
we made adjustments last year. We made adjustments 3 years ago, increasing fees. So
Yeah, so those would be, for those keeping track, on page 208 is the building and code fees. And there are no changes. And I really think the print got smaller from last year.
And we don't think that the existing fees are holding anyone back from building and developing. They're not a barrier,
no,
the increases that we made last year.
oh, no,
No. Okay.
no.
Have any of them been helpful? I know we adjusted some things that were for bigger projects and things that we thought we had a
Yeah.
ceiling on that.
And we didn't have any applications for projects that large in 2025.
Okay.
The Vanguard projects, when it gets submitted to us, will be probably the next large project.
Okay. All right. Have a good evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And we'll welcome down representatives from the Parks Department. And we have to open a confusing set of pages. Let's see. 84 to 93. Uh, 96, 97, 98. And we're not doing golf, so I think that's it. Yes. Did I miss any, Bob?
Oh, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Yes. So our 2026 budget has quite a few changes, but nothing drastic or crazy like. I think I'll just start running right down through. Personal services, that had a couple increases, just contractual changes. Our professional services increased. Oh, for our rental, for our holiday horse and carriage rides, that they upped $1,500, so. Travel and training, we bumped that back up. We actually are just about out this year. We're on track for running out, so we do have multiple recertifications that are gonna come up this year. We have 2 arborists that need to get CEUs. Every 3 years, they have to get 30, so we have to send them to courses. We have pool operation courses that are good for 5 years, and there's a couple of them that are up this year. So we'll have some extra expenditures.
Question back on holiday carousel. Does that money include money for Ross Park Carousel for Christmas? Or is that only Rec Park?
That's only Rec Park for right now. We're hoping to have the carousel up and running by Christmas time. Not 100.
The plan was to possibly do 2 at Rec and 1 at Ross if everything's ready.
Okay.
But the horses would just be at Rec for this year until we know what we can do.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The live horses.
Correct. The live horses. That was the cost that went up. The cost
I was
of
like,
live horses went up. Yeah. Yeah.
Carousels have horses too. Okay.
real
So-
ones.
So this current budget line does not include for Ross Park, and should the carousel come together in time, there'll need to be a budget adjustment to make that happen?
No. So this line is just for the live horses. And those will only be at Rec Park.
Correct.
So the cost of
Just
getting.
because it says rental of horse / sleigh - holiday carousel.
Correct. Those are live horses, the
Okay.
rentals. They come from Pennsylvania and they increased their prices of getting our hayride, horse ride.
We don't have any New York horses?
Should we have an event up at Ross Park, it'll just increase our temporary services a little bit, but we'll have a staff, just with staffing, and we'll take care of everything else for the most part.
Okay. So then that is or isn't reflected in your temporary services? Just so because
That
people
is not-
are definitely asking these questions. People are asking.
That is not.
What was the summer fun program busing previously funded at?
You know that?
Is the change down to 0 new this year
For busing?
for the summer fun program busing?
Yes, because now we're only at one site. So we can have the kids dropped off at, let's just say we're gonna let, a certain class swim at Webster Street Park. We would just have the parents drop off there. There's no reason to bust them. Same thing with some of the other downtown areas that they would go. We don't need busing anymore.
They have like the main location in I was the admin, sorry. So the main St. Mary's, the rec center, that's what they use as like the hub. So all their classes go there. So if it rains, they all go there. But I guess like if like one day the group leader will say, oh, well, we're gonna all meet at Webster Court to swim today. So then all parents will just drop off there and then they'll have all parents pick up there too.
But
Has there been any consideration for, so there's a number of Southside East families that previously participated in the summer fun program throughout the summer at Webster Street Park, who don't have access to transportation to drop their kids off at the new rec center. Was there any consideration for busing in those situations?
So this goes back a few years before Bob was here. We tried to get a bus to do a lot of practices for kids who can't get to practices, these types of things. And we were approved. And then we were told that it was a liability, and it was Brian who said, and he put a nix to that. So we would have to like hire a bus company for a full summer to pick up and drop off. And no, we did not think of that. No.
Then we could do kind of, I mean, I don't know where we would find that at, but that might be something in the future, if not this budget, next budget, start looking at that, just hiring outside. I think one of the barriers is transportation and getting kids there, rather than having them left at home during the summer with someone or having them home alone is very important. And even for practices too, but we'll get to that. Sorry.
I know Councilwoman Middleton's kid did summer fun. And I went with Pal this past summer for one of my kids. And one of the nice things about Pal was that there was a bus pickup site right by my house. So in terms of making those choices, the busing is certainly a piece of that.
Absolutely.
We were actually over capacity for our numbers at the rec center this year. We had the highest numbers that we've had since, I believe, 2019. And we still had a waiting list. So now we're going to increase those numbers again.
Good. Are you keeping track of what areas of the, like what districts are being represented and in the summer camp? Like, are we making sure that all residents are getting access, or is it for that neighborhood that it's now in?
Yeah, we can do that. I would have to check with Jake on that. Jake's no longer with the city,
Yes.
so he handled summer fun in that regard. But
I would
we were-
appreciate the stats
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the kids are coming from.
Yeah.
Like a little map, not with their houses or anything, but.
Well, we have
a little heat map.
elementary. What we do have is elementary schools. That's the only piece we would have. A lot of the addresses aren't always correct. So, but we know what elementary school each kid goes to. So I'd be able to look through the elementary schools of each participant.
Be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
And see.
that would be helpful, particularly if we're considering not necessarily this year, but maybe kind of reinserting an opportunity for that, just to address that transportation barrier. Would the,
absolutely.
Bob, this is a question for you. Would the liability concern be reflective of your current concern, or in terms of?
I don't think it would be a good idea for the city to own and operate its own bus.
Okay, so
If
external,
the city
so
was to have
contracting.
a third party do it, that'd be fine, because they have their own insurance requirements and stuff for it.
Yeah.
As it relates to the budget line, I could be wrong, but I don't know that line has been funded in several years. I think the last time it was funded was maybe.
The issue is previously the summer fun was done in neighborhood parks, right?
Yeah.
So that you didn't need a bus if you were
Yeah.
going to the park that you could walk to. But now that we're centralizing, now that
We need-
requires a bus.
Yeah.
Right.
But just to clarify, like that line has been funded since I think like 2022.
And even then, I don't think it was utilized, was it? That I recall.
It was more utilized for field trips and things of that nature. It wasn't picking kids up and bringing them anywhere.
Definitely.
So I guess moving on down to the Parks Garage, if no one has anything. In our personal services lines, we did unfund our motor equipment operator and our vacant tree trimmer. One of them, we're having a heck of a time filling the tree trimmer position with skilled arborists. So it's just not working out. So we figured we would add a laborer in that spot so we can get someone in the door, potentially train them to move up to more of these skilled positions. The MEO, we
Can you train someone to do that, to do the tree trimming?
That's what we're trying to do, because it's hard to get someone in the door that's skilled at that position for the dollar amount that we're going to pay them. So
Absolutely.
we want to get them in the door, trim or train them up, and then potentially move them up to
And
something.
hopefully they don't leave after that, because then
That's the
they can
thing.
start their own
Well,
business.
$50 or $75 a shrub.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, the private sector and the bigger utility companies, they're paying quite a bit of money. So
Yes.
So we did add.
So so if we are unable to fill that position, what happens? Like what critical things aren't happening and what are the implications of those critical things?
Well, currently, right now, we're not keeping up with street tree trimming because we only have 2 skilled tree trimmers.
I can testify to that. I know the list of trees on in my district have not been.
It's
at
very
this
difficult.
season. Yeah.
It's, with us just keeping up with the current complaints is tough, let alone like a routine trimming program. It's not happening for us. So
Trees aren't, let's keep following the logic. When the trees aren't trimmed, it impacts traffic accidents, it impacts power outages. What is it that?
all of the above.
All of the above.
So
So is this
at
something that
least-
we could budget more for?
At least as it relates to power outages, a lot of that's more on NICEAG because they operate their own tree trimming for branches. The city's not responsible for
Around the
keeping the electric lines
Okay.
clear.
So it's visibility. So when you're doing your priority for trimming, since you're understaffed, is it predominantly or in part like with our traffic chairwoman is here, when we have issues, site visibility issues and those
I would
are
imagine
complaint driven or?
squeaky wheel driven.
Yeah,
They come in that form as well, but we have a tree keeper program that we generate work orders for our guys to go out and trim. And 95% of that is complaints, not routine trimming. Typically before the winter season, we try to go out and trim as much as we possibly can. So we're not trashing the plow trucks and whatnot as well. So but yeah, it's difficult to keep up. I mean, there's 25,000 plus trees, and that's not counting our parks trees. Very seldom do we get to our actual park trees to trim because we're out on the street.
Mhm.
So,
I just wanted to say thank you for taking care of my constituent's tree.
oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. But I had a question. She had a question for you. Do you take away, I guess she sent me a picture today of how it was left. Do you guys cut it down or would she have to get someone to cut that down?
No, they'll come back for it.
Okay.
Yeah, they just probably limbed it out and they'll come
Yeah,
back. and take
okay. I just
the
wanted to
stump
make
out.
sure. I'll let
And
her
then,
know.
and then the stump will be put on a list and eventually we'll. get-
Okay, I'll let her know.
And that's a
that-
big part of it too. We also have, every tree we take down, we have to remove the stumps and that's difficult as well to keep up with.
Okay,
So.
I'll let her know that.
I know when I've had to get trees removed on my property, it ended up being 2 different services. One person who was able to come in quick and get the tree down and a different service to deal with the stump grinding.
Correct. It's probably the same 2 people.
Is that something that it makes sense for us to explore having outsourcing or getting outside support? Or is it something where like, I'm trying to understand like how severe the issue is And like if the issue is pretty severe, then, you know, maybe it's something that more salary or more something should be thrown at it to increase recruitment. But if it's not severe, I mean, let it be.
I mean, there's potential, but I mean, to say severe, I think would be an overstatement in my eyes. I think our guys do a great job, and then anything that is a serious threat, they're on it. So, I mean, when it comes to routine trimming, that's where, you know, we don't get to as quickly as, you know, most things. But in an emergency situation or a big hazard tree, they're usually on it pretty good.
There was a tree survey and management plan, I think from 2018, 17, that was darn comprehensive and had also a whole implementation schedule and budget that ran into the millions of dollars. That's what it would take to like
in order
be
for us,
optimal, but
in order for us to keep up like we would want, we would have to have a tree crew, a chipper and a lift truck on each side of town, I think, just to be effective. So, and that I think that's not reachable at this point.
Are we accumulating like, I would say like an industry technical debt? Like, are we accruing like debt like every year because we don't get all the way through our trimming that the next year is worse? Or is it something that are we always going to be playing catch up, or is it something that's fine to let sit for a bit?
Well, here's what I tell my guys. There's no way you're ever going to catch up. So you do the best you can, get as much done as you can. It's been like that since I was a tree trimmer. It's very difficult, like I said, to keep up and actually catch up. And that's just with the complaints. So you can catch up with the complaints, yet you're not doing any of the routine trimming still as well. So there's never really, you're never going to get completely caught up with the staff that we have. It's just not going to happen. So
It doesn't roll over. You say what I'm saying? Like if you don't catch up this year, does that now make next year worse, or does next year stay the same because it's not really doesn't really make a difference for next year?
Not typically, because I didn't really want to say this out loud, but a lot of people think that we don't trim trees in the wintertime or do tree work. Tree work rolls right through. We do it all year round. So, you know, spring and summertime is when we're going to get most of our complaint calls. People are outdoors more. They're looking at their trees more. In the wintertime, it does give us a chance to catch up on a lot of the complaint stuff. So. But yes, it probably carries over a little bit into the following year, to answer your question.
So you have one tree trimmer, but there's what are the other positions that are in your tree crew?
We have our urban forester and our arborist. The tree trimmer is currently vacant.
Okay.
so what kind of crew do you have to send out on, you're going to say it's a tree trimming day? What do you have to send out?
It depends on the work. If we're doing a removal or a takedown, our urban forester and our arborist are perfectly capable of it, but we may need a separate truck driver. It depends on the equipment that we need. If we need the skid steer to remove the log and whatnot. So typically it's 2 guys. If it's a bigger job, we usually send 3 to 4. So we'll send a couple of laborers or whoever we have available in that given day.
So if you were able to hire a tree trimmer or 2 tomorrow, what equipment mix do you have the equipment mix to meet if you have the labor you need?
If we had the staff.
Yeah. So like as in you have 1 chipper or 2 chippers, do you have, what truck is taking the chips? We have 1 or 2 stump grinders. We have
If we had the staff, right now we have a bucket truck that is equipped to pull a chipper, so we could have that complete setup. And in the event of just like routine trimming along the street side where we can use a pole saw and whatnot. We also have a second chip truck, but we don't have a second chipper. So the second chipper would probably be,
That would be the next
yeah.
thing. All right.
And if we could fill the tree trimmer spot, that tree trimmer could also work with just a regular laborer to help with the chipping, you know, so.
Okay.
That would be ideal.
Thank you.
Mm.
Next,
Temporary services, we did have transfer this year. We actually hired a few more, summer help kids that kind of ran over a little bit, so we did increase that just a smidge.
Which I think I like coming there to visit. I think it worked out great. I think with the amount of people, the kids you had a good ratio of help, because you need that with
Right.
with more children. So
Well, and we had a great summer staff this year. We had a lot of, I think I said this when I came to propose our budget transfer, but we had a lot of return kids, and they were just, you know, we could send them out on their own to do certain jobs. You know, they didn't always have to have a full-time employee with them. So that helps. It basically, you know, we're basically getting a bunch of laborers that
my daughter
go out on their own.
enjoyed working there in the summer.
Yeah.
It was good.
I'm seeing overtime you're holding. No,
Yeah.
you're increased by 5,000 from last year's adopted, or this year's adopted. I know we had the big storm and stuff, but you're comfortable with
storm?
holding at that.
Honestly, it's more of our events. The events every year.
Events are driving.
We get more and more. You know, we have to, during the summer months, mainly, we really have to pick the parks. A lot of the time during the winter months, we can let them go without anyone in the parks, but there's more people in the parks, they get dirty, we have to keep them clean. So typically we have at least 2 guys on picking on the weekends. Our pool maintainer is on every weekend. So we're putting out some overtime regardless. And then with the events, we definitely go through some.
What's the standard rotation, and are all the parks included? Like what percentage of time are people spending in the different parks?
During on our weekend picking?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're required to go to every park. You know, we have the farmers market, so they start at rec. You know, make sure that's clean, and then we go typically to our bigger parks and then venture out, and we usually give them 4 hours on a given day on the weekend. So whatever they can get to, they try to get to.
So you're saying that they're required to go to do all the parks, but they basically always start at rec park and they only have 4 hours? So,
Yeah.
so are there consistent parks that are not getting cleaned?
I'm perfectly fine with this game.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah, that's a good possibility because we don't have time to get to them all. Yeah.
Right.
But typically we go to the ones that are.
Do you
most used.
keep track of that? Is there, I mean,
Like a rotation?
yeah, like whether or not parks are not getting cleaned for like 4 months? Like,
Well, they should never get not clean for 4 months.
well, I mean, if they're starting with the same set and they only have 4 hours and they're starting with rec park and they're doing the big parks first, then that to me sounds like no one will ever get to the smaller parks.
Well, they do during the week.
Oh, during the week. Okay, just not on the
Absolutely.
weekend.
We're on
Okay,
full time
sorry.
during the week. I'm
Okay.
just talking weekend
Weekend,
overtime.
okay.
No, during the week, every park should get picked
Okay.
daily, so.
And when we say parks, is that just like parks? Or for example, I often spend a lot of time in Southside Commons. Is that considered a park
Outside,
by your
yes,
standard? I mean, because it's a concrete park.
it should get picked every day.
Okay, thank you.
And there may be times when it don't because the guys have to mow grass too, so that's, if they went around and picked every park on their run, they wouldn't get the grass mowed. So they have to stay in their rotation when it comes to their mowing runs.
So under your equipment budget line, there's like equipment for maintenance, like blowers and trimmers and stuff. But there's also kind of amenity equipment. You have a one playground item for $5,000 and benches and stuff, and that's staying flat. The cost for all this stuff has gone up, is going up. Are you comfortable with that amount as far as maintaining what you need to maintain facilities? Is there anything missing equipment wise that's could be bumped up, that's kind of in this intermediate, something that costs a few hundred or a couple $1,000 that's not a major capital expense, but
right. When it comes to our general use equipment, our chainsaws, our blowers and stuff, that this seems efficient. The bigger ticket items are what we really could use more of. But obviously we can't get those every year, so we try to, spread it out and try to keep what we have going. But yeah, our equipment line seems to hold up fine.
I just got a large motor repair.
For our gang.
Your gang mower, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's, that's an eye-opening number. If you have to replace it.
Well, that mower is huge to us, and to replace it, it's like $60,000 to $80,000. So the 14 was a huge expense, but kind of had to do it. It helps us keep up on our mowing. So.
But, and that's, you think that is, you're asking for it that way. So you think that is money well invested in a repair to that piece of equipment versus, swallowing a new purchase of that amount.
I do. I think that, yeah, it was definitely worth getting fixed.
So
Sorry.
So
I was getting,
and we also
a wish list question? No. Oh.
I want to know where these picnic tables and benches are going.
Well, we don't reinstall picnic tables and benches every year. This is just how it's broken down if we need to. Obviously replacements if need be.
Rec park, everything going in rec park.
Well, it's like, obviously we've had issues in Southside Commons, and the answer seemed to have been remove all of the benches and the picnic tables where I used to go and take my family to eat our takeout in the South Side. So I'm just seeing that other people are getting new benches and picnic tables when I can no longer eat outside because mine have been taken away.
I've got some
right.
good pictures of those tables if you want to see them. You can eat off of them.
I know I was eating off all through COVID.
Same.
All through COVID, I was eating off of those tables.
Yeah.
So I'm just, when I see in the budget, other people are getting picnic tables when mine have been taken away, that's, triggers me a little bit.
Who makes the determination for the removal of park benches?
I think with that situation over there at Southside Commons, there was an ongoing issue of loitering, homelessness, whatever was going on. People were congregating there.
Using the park? They were like
But
the tables were getting used.
It was a drug.
So were the
use.
benches.
There was a lot going on there.
This was some years ago, I think, that the picnic tables were removed there, and I'd have to refresh my memory exactly, but it was related specifically to calls for service by the police department.
It sounded like with the large number of people taking the police exam and stuff, that hopefully we will have more community policing and all of that maybe we can get our picnic tables back. I think it was also around the time that a vigilante arborist hacked up the trees in the commons.
And we had a vandalism issue over there too with the monument.
I did
business
reach out.
owners
Yeah.
drove that decision as well.
Yeah.
The business owners, their place on both sides were getting
Right.
vandalized pretty badly, people sleeping.
Yeah, I'm
Keeping them up all night, keeping customers away.
aware of
Yeah.
defecation on private property. I've been aware of some of the issues that we've had there. And I'd like to look for solutions that allow us all to continue to use our parks rather than quasi shutting them down. I started a bit of a discussion with the DA about trying to potentially get cameras in there as well. So throwing that out there.
You have a few lines on with building materials in them and lumber, paint, concrete, all that stuff. Do you want to give us kind of an overview of any particular projects that you've been able to undertake and keep in-house? Anything in particular this year that stands out or planning to do next year that's good needed maintenance, but you're able to keep it,
Yeah,
within the department?
actually, we're just now finishing up, we actually had to redo a bunch of the boards on the carousel. The soffit, we have multiple buildings that are falling apart that are in need. Next year, we would like to, the BMX building over at Sherry Lindsay Park, Phelps Park on State Street, that needs a new roof, new siding. There's potential for usage.
And that's covered in your requests in here. That's those amounts that would be kind of on your normal to-do list.
Yeah, we'll get through a lot of it. Chemicals was our
yep.
next big one. We just upped it a little bit. We're anticipating on chlorine going up again this year. And our next big one was electricity costs. We know NYSEG's not coming down, so.
Equipment lease and rental, you lowered a little bit, not a big deal. Building improvement and maintenance, you trimmed a tiny bit. Then we kind of move on to playground rec center.
You want to do this one, Shane? This is where most of our changes were made.
All right, walk us through it.
So as far as personnel services there, we're going to put someone full-time. We took someone from the garage and moved them over there full-time. And he's not only in the rec center, if you've been by Columbus Park, since he started, we redid the dugouts of the baseball field. He replanted, redid the mound. This was the first time that baseball games were played at Columbus Park in many, many years. Parents wouldn't even bring their kids there for practice in the past. Now with the way we redid the fencing to keep some people away from the field while the kids were on it and redid the dugouts, it's a much more pleasing place. So we actually did play games there this year as well, which was really cool. So that laborer does not only the center, he also does the park.
I was the first time I've been in the rec center since it's really been up and running was during our town hall. And I got to see you kind of have a little satellite office set up in there to keep an eye on things and have a base of operations. So
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
really good for the park, I think.
Yeah. And since all brand new blinds are up, they just were installed 2 weeks ago. So all the classrooms have new blinds now. Everything's kind of brand new in there as well from the inside. The outside was repainted, all the white was repainted, it was power washed, the roof was done, but now we're starting to get to the inside now and make that a little bit more appealing. So personnel service will have a rec leader there. We're also going to have, we're going to have the labor. We're also going to have a rec leader there. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so excuse me. There you go. No. Okay, so they have they had some what's it? It's going to be a sports supervisor, right? Rec attendant, sports supervisor. He'll be a rec leader. So basically, what they did was we were going to take they wanted another person in the personal services line, and they're going to take it out of their temporary services line, and it's going to be a rec. Did you say it was a rec leader?
Leader?
Yes, a rec
Okay.
leader at 36,400, and we're going to take the 36,400 out of the sports supervisor $20 an hour line. So that 67,200 is going to go down by 36,400.
So this is an amendment you need.
It's just moving
To
one
this.
a position up
Yeah.
there and making another full-time position.
I had a question about that rec leader. How are they, is it are they hired? Like, how do they get that position?
So that's going to be open. It's going to be a CSEA position, so that's going to
Okay.
be open.
Good. And you plan to hire that next year, like at the beginning, or when do you plan to hire? For that
They'll
person?
start right after the new year. The first day the rec center's open. So we have someone there now that we're paying out of our rec attendant sports supervisor lines. He's been doing it. So he opens up in the morning for pickleball. Because we opened up pickleball last week. And it's not open right now, but we opened it, for the rainy days last week.
Mhm.
And when the nice weather, as soon as that goes away, we'll open that up full time again. So he's already doing that. And then he comes back in the evening for our practices and all of
Mhm.
our clinics and whatnot. So that position is basically a morning, go home, come back at night position. So
And he locks up
it's gonna be full-time, 35 hours.
he locks up St. Mary's and he locks it up and everything. Okay.
Yeah, at night, unless Zach or I are there. If one of us are there, we lock it up, but he also, he locks it up. Yeah.
And what does Zach do? What does he do? What's his? position?
Zach's on the first page. So he's rec supervisor, sports and camps.
Okay. I have a bunch of questions. We'll get.
Great.
do-
So wait, CR, you
we'll do
wanted
this stuff first.
36,400 moved from A 7140 51,800 to A 7140 5100.
Correct.
Correct.
Somebody want to make that motion?
So that'll be two motions. It should be one reducing and then to contingency, and then the other from contingency to increase it. Because we don't do direct.
Okay.
I can make that motion. I'll make a motion to amend line A 7140.51800 by the amount of $36,400. Moving that into contingency.
I'll second.
Motion, second. Any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Rathmel. Aye. Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Murray.
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon is absent. Chair Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-0.
Okay. And a motion to then move it from contingency to. I'll just make the motion. Motion to move $36,400 from contingency to line A 7140.51000.
I'll
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion?
No.
Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Murray.
Aye.
Councilmembers Rathmel and Dundon are absent. Chair Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 5-0.
And that's permanent, so there'll be benefits affected by that too, right? We can just let that.
That's a Chuck question, probably.
Benefits will get affected by that because it's a permanent position, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's negligible.
Yeah, it's just Social Security and then. Yeah, so he's single. So it'll be minimal,
All right.
but we can handle it.
Thank you.
Wait, roll back. Because I thought we just said it was an open position that people are gonna apply for, and then you just
You have
said,
somebody in it already, or what's it?
We don't currently for that position. We have to open it up.
We're opening it, but someone has been serving in that role,
Oh, okay.
but he's been paid out of the other line.
Out of the
Okay.
Now we're making him a permanent position as opposed to.
Okay.
so he would
it's not-
serve in that position until you go through an open hiring process.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Just-
Yep.
But we do not know the full benefits. It could be someone who has a spouse.
Right, it could be.
So if we kind of get down to the bottom line of the rec center.
Oh, wait, can I?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Please,
Sorry.
not yet. I had questions with the summer fun supplies. Is that enough money, you think, for your summer fun supplies? Do you
It-
feel like you need more for that?
No, not now. Because we are tied with the rec center, there's a lot of stuff there as well that we buy through our youth programming and
Okay.
whatnot that stays there. So
Okay.
no, I think supplies wise, we're really good with summer fun.
One thing I would recommend while I was there visiting, I know that some of the kids in the younger classes, they take naps. So I would recommend maybe like getting some yoga mats for them, yeah, like cots or something like that for them, because some kids don't bring a blanket all the time. And I'm a mom, so I'm like, oh, how are they sleeping? You know, but I think that having those there for them, kind of, you know, a few yoga mats there. I noticed that there was a need. Like I said, the staff was really amazing. That was kind of only my need. I think I asked them when I was there, like, is there anything that like you guys think you need? When I went to visit them a few times, they didn't really say much. They just said like supplies and stuff. So that's why I asked if you had like enough for that. So I just wanted to make sure that I was advocating for them.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank
I have a question about the other part, oh, yes, back to summer fun too. Okay, sorry. How, is there like a system, like how does it, like, I know it was new at the rec center, and I know like a lot of parents like reached out to me on how how is it like communicated? And even like how is it, like, how do people really know about it? And how are we like, or the people, whoever's running it, how are they communicating with the parents? Is there like a system, or do they wait till the end of the day? Like, how does that work?
So as far as right off the bat, everything's done through rec desk, right? So that's how you register. That's how all the communication takes place.
And you send that out to the schools?
We do.
Okay.
We send out a mailer to the homes
Okay,
that says when summer fun registration is going to open and whatnot. And then we also, Jake would send it to the schools as well.
So does that go to all the schools or only the public schools within the city?
The
Ross Corners Christian Academy,
No.
for
So-
example.
the home mailers go to kids at Ross Corners, but I think Jake worked with the principals of the city elementary schools. So we would have to add, the other schools in the city. I don't know if he definitely did that or not. I'm not positive, but
I don't think I got it.
I was gonna tell you, I know Jake, when I spoke to Jake about it, being nosy, I asked him, how does the process work? And he said that they take Binghamton kids first. So like, if you're in the city, like school district of Binghamton, that's kind of, is that, no?
no, nothing to do with the school district, only your address.
The city, right?
Yes,
You have to be a
yes.
Binghamton city resident, right?
Just a resident,
Yeah,
correct,
sorry.
not a school
But,
district.
but not all kids in the city of Binghamton go to City of Binghamton schools. That was my point, was
Okay.
whether or not communication was going out to Binghamton resident children that are in private religious education.
Yeah. Okay. Like Seton and all those other schools, okay.
I mean, my example is Ross Corners Christian Academy because it's not technically in the city of Binghamton,
Mhm.
but you may have Binghamton residents that may have a need for summer fun that have kids that would qualify for it, but are in, religious education, for example.
But then the communication is all done through Rec Desk. So the supervisors of Summer Fun will then have all the cell phone numbers, have all the email addresses, have emergency contacts. So if anything were to happen, they have all that through the program that we use to register all our kids for everything.
Okay. I know I've had some conversations about the timing of the summer camp that for parents who rely on summer camp as childcare to work, they need to have that lined up, and a lot of the paid summer camp options fill up earlier than the opening start. And I know I talked a bit with Jake about that, and the issues with the timing of things, that you don't know how many students you're going to be able to hire, so you don't necessarily know how many people you can take in, and there's a lot of those challenges. But for people who actually have to work and therefore need reliable childcare, they may be forced into, whether or not they can afford it, paying for higher, more expensive paid childcare because they can't afford to wait to see if they're going to get a spot, because the timelines don't match up. And so they're at least going to be paying a registration or deposit on a paid camp while they're waiting for your timeline to even open up. And it's, can create fees on people who really can't afford them. So I get that there's challenges in moving your timeline up with hiring and whatnot, but if it's something that you can look into, and thinking about, you may not have all of the spots for the full registration, but you're going to at least be able to handle a certain number early applications from folks who, express some sort of backed up need that they need to secure to not lose their job, and can't afford other. And I don't exactly know what the system would be, but right now, from what I can tell, that the free camps all, same with PAL, they all have signups after the paid camps. They don't even open for registration until after.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about hiring, right? It's about how many people we can get, and then we know how many kids we can get. So if we think we're going to have a good hiring year, hey, let's boost it up to 35, and then we don't, and now we have to tell 15 families that they can't get the free summer fun, right? So it's marrying those two things together, and how early can we start our hiring process when a lot of our kids that we hire are high school kids and college age kids that are off at school and whatnot. How early can we start that and know that we're going to get a realistic number if they're not in town? Those are the challenges that are posed. Can we move the registration up? Yeah, I mean, that's simple, but can we guarantee if we open up 35 spots for, the young kids in summer fun, are we going to have 7 kids that are going to be able to look after those 35? We can't guarantee that until
But potentially you could do something where you open up to, you're going to have at least 10 spots. So have 10 spots for early registration for people who are in a situation where it's higher priority, like they need that.
Yeah.
Or some, I'm just throwing it out there as an idea.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So I was just trying to get a sense of bottom line, what the city's yearly investment in physical rec center is now, versus our programming costs before. So if heat and gas, the labor we're keeping there, now the recreation supervisor person that
he's already there,
keeping there, but he's already there.
Yep.
And that's now a year-round position.
Yes. So that's the only it's going to be a benefited full-time position now as opposed to being paid out of the sports supervisor $20 an hour
so
line that
40, 80, 100 grand with that. Professional services, 102. Security for rec center. Maybe 110,000 maybe ish.
Yeah.
Or this is what it costs us to have a rec center
to
now.
have a rec center and
That's not that bad.
operating at, an everyday morning and evening, serving, both sides of the community from an age standpoint anyway.
And do you recall like what did we pay user fees or rent to the schools when we had summer fun in the schools?
No, so we weren't allowed in the schools. That was more of the issue. So we had to move summer fun out of rec park because they wouldn't let us use the school
Before,
anymore.
but there was a time, right?
There was a time, and no, we
Yes.
did not. So we
They
have a
let me-
reciprocal.
okay.
So they use our tennis courts for, they use our baseball fields. So they use us a lot
Okay.
more than we use them, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like right now, we're using West Middle to play our youth football games, and we don't pay any fee for that. So
Well, they put in a heck of a field over there for a middle
beautiful.
school.
Nice.
yeah, it's beautiful.
All right.
I
Next
think,
page would
if we're
be-
still on that same
Oh, sorry.
topic, if I might interject, so you said 110,000
Ish.
to ish, right? To operate this new facility, which I think everybody in the community is happy about and supports, but do you think right now it's at its like full utilization? Not even close. And is that
No, close, not even close. It's being used all mornings, and then it's being used in the evenings.
Mhm.
So let's just say we were gonna maybe try to do some after-school stuff. That would mean another person that we would have to hire.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So maybe down the road, if we can get another person in there. and
Or
have
daytime
someone-
senior stuff potentially?
We have the pickleball for the seniors in the morning. Yeah.
But-
So, but yeah, yes, we can do, I mean, the seniors have the senior center that they go to and they're great, serve lunch and so that's good for them. But the more active ones come over and play pickleball in the mornings. But if we were going to do something in the middle of the day, like after school, that would be the next step, and that would be another person we would have to hire.
Or potentially something for homeschool groups or people during the day to have during the winter access.
Yeah, it would be another person, but it's operating. I mean, it's going. I mean, we have stuff getting over 8 hours a day. Once we hit, right now, since everyone's outside, the only thing we have in there every day is our football teams watch film in there after their games, and our cheerleaders have their practices in there. It's easier to bring out the cheer mats and those types of things. So we have stuff going on there every night, but it's not, 4 hours a night like we will once winter hits. It'll be, 5 to 9.
Are you planning on doing, moving into after-school programming? Do you have that in the
Yeah,
horizon?
that's a little farther down the road.
Okay. I think
That'd be great.
that's a critical time period for,
Parents.
yeah, for both parents and like, that's a public safety thing. That's like the best time to get in trouble when you're not under supervision of your school and you're not under supervision of your parents. So if we have after-school programming, that would be,
And it would be, yeah, and it would be a complete overhaul of staffing, because if you
Okay.
open up, let's just say we open up those spots on rec desk and you're gonna bring in 30, 40 kids, you need more than one person in there.
Mhm.
You're gonna need multiple people in there if you're gonna do that the right way. So that would be, and then, those people, could really work the rest of the night. They could be there till 9 o'clock.
Or 7.
Well, athletics goes until 8:30. It ends at 8:30. So they typically, after cleaning everything up, the kids who work athletics for us leave a little before 9. They get there and start setting the gym up a little around 5 o'clock. We open up. We always have someone work the door, so the door is never unlocked. So we have someone at the door to let the kids in, and then make sure that they're being picked up and everything after. And then a new group's coming in as one group is leaving, and those kids are cleaning up. And so we'll go from cheer to volleyball or baseball to softball to football to basketball on any given night. And we have a lot of the same kids will stay for all 3 hours.
I think we all got an email about, from a upset parent
Mhm.
relating to the competitiveness of the recreational sports.
Mhm.
If anyone else read it, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'll know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Is it possible to have less competitive sports in addition to
We
what
do.
we're doing? We do.
And that's what
Okay.
that's what he was upset about. His child was put into the less competitive.
Okay,
and
sorry,
he-
I'm not a sports person,
That's
so I was
okay.
like.
No,
okay, I don't
so what we have is what's called STYFC football, which is about 35 teams in the area from Corning into Montrose, Pennsylvania. And they all play in a league, and it's separated in divisions. We're in a division with Enwell and Endicott and Vestal. And that is, and we tell the parents, that is our competitive football, helmets, shoulder pads, real football. Okay, so it is competitive. There is a chance that you can be hurt and those types of things. So if we get kids who are maybe physically underdeveloped or don't really pay attention or really don't want to be there, we say, hey, you know what? Recreation flag football is a better fit for you. You're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get anyone else hurt. You know, this is a better fit for you. That email, he was unhappy that the non-competitive was going to be a better fit.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
clarifying
No
that.
problem.
I have
it was-
another question. It's
Yeah.
kind of budget related. I know with it is budget related, like with our Binghamton sports, I don't really see like anything like with the communication to like Binghamton schools. So like I wanted to sign my daughter up to play soccer, but everyone's like, don't do it through Binghamton, do it through Vestal. And that was just like, hurt me. Like, why can't, why not do it through Binghamton? And people are saying that it's like unorganized. Like, how can we like, I have some ideas. Like, I think that you guys could be working with the school to kind of bring it. And even if we could pay like parents, because I think a lot of times Binghamton gets a bad rep, like parents aren't involved in all these things, but there's a way that we can set it up so that way parents can be involved in that process and still maybe like $15, like charging. I know we don't want to charge anything, but $15, it's not really much, but just that little bit might show some interest like in our soccer program.
So right now, our soccer program is actually really good. And I just met with the athletic director of Binghamton High School.
They don't play any games
Yeah,
though,
they
right?
do. They play.
do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. So I just met with the athletic director of Binghamton High School yesterday as well to get their soccer coaches more involved in exactly what we're doing. And we're putting a plan together for exactly how between us and them, how we want soccer to look moving forward. So we were more of a recreation soccer where some of the other municipalities are competitive. And that's why if you want competitive soccer, go here, go there. If you want to develop, have fun, just learn the game and then play. So what they do now is they're in 4 teams and they practice for about 10 minutes and then they play each other every night.
I'm not worried about that. I was just saying maybe we could bring in some revenue with like just, like a little fee or something. Like I'm
What's
not
normal
about that.
I guess tagging.
Yeah. So I was just saying, that's sidetrack. I'll talk to you about that off
No,
off camera, but I was
don't
just,
think
I
it's
was,
the sidetrack.
oh, no, I was going into the weeds of that. But
No, I mean, I
was-
think it would be interesting to know what other municipalities are doing. Are they charging? Or are they not charging? What is
They
it
are.
look
Oh,
like?
yeah. Oh, yeah. They're the only one. We're the only ones who are free.
And I honestly think that if we charge just a little fee, like a revenue, just something little that might change the whole dynamic of the programs. So I don't know, we'll chat after. This is not budget stuff.
Yeah.
We will chat. My opinions, we don't have to talk about my opinion.
You got it.
Beaches and pools.
Beaches?
Yeah, we do in the budget.
We do.
I was gonna
Sandy
say,
Beach.
I was like, what?
Sandy Beach.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't have a whole lot of changes in our temporary service. The main change in that was our weather related closures. We lowered that significantly, so and obviously our number went up. General operating supplies, we did a little bit there because we need some new umbrellas and whatnot for the pools. Oh, and the AEDs, you know more about those, Shane.
So equipment repairs and maintenance went up $600, and that's because we had to purchase 2 new AEDs. So now we have 2 more, and that's basically the service on those AEDs. So in order to be compliant with all the new state and county laws for AEDs so we have AEDs everywhere now.
Right.
So we're good.
During the sports.
And they get brought to
programs,
like every game now and everything, right?
Yeah, so we have one at every facility, and we have someone at every facility for every game that is AED certified. So, and football, we travel with one goes wherever we go for football.
Okay, youth programming.
No changes there.
Nothing in the adult.
Adult rec
No changes.
and the senior center.
Senior center, we didn't have many changes either. Our utilities a little bit. Just for electric costs. As usual.
Now we do have, if we want to skip to capital on sorry.
Question, so with the rec center, like, when I was asking about, our rec center during the day, you brought up the senior center as an option. How are the activities that a senior can do at the rec center similar or different from what they can do at the senior center?
Completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah, so the basement of the senior center has basically pool tables, and it's more recreation, like leisure recreation, where we set up the gym for 2 pickleball courts, and we'll have 30 to 40 people there every morning playing a little bit more. You know, so the senior center will do a yoga class, or they might do a dance class, or different things like that, aerobics, and they have a fitness area up top where they can ride a bike or something like that. But the rec center is really only, it's a gym. You know what I mean? So when you're having, it's revolved around sports. So pickleball is the one that they asked for. And this was the community's asking that we opened this up for pickleball. So we bought a couple of nets and put down some lines, and now we have pickleball over there.
Yeah. So if we jump to capital on 202, you have just kind of the standard A lines that we're continuing to fund. And then we do have some kitchen. Oh, no, wait. I'm thinking of we have senior center kitchen equipment. That was a separate RL.
That's, I think.
Right.
Switch to CBD.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, so you just have your standard A lines, but do you want to, I know we're doing golf separately, but do you have anything to say about the Ely Park improvements or kitchen, since it's technically a park?
Yeah, I think the 350 is going to be well utilized up there. We need to, this year we spent all of our money on replacing the roofs. Every roof up there was leaking, so we wanted to get that done first. Now next year we're looking forward to possibly new siding. We want to get some of the money out on the golf course as well. There's a lot of cart paths that need to be redone. They do want a vector oven for the kitchen to improve their cooking abilities for bigger groups. I think that will eat up a lot of it.
Okay. So a good chunk of the 350,000 request is
Probably the siding.
probably the siding. Yeah. Okay.
That's under the golf.
Yeah.
Or the construction,
So,
sorry. Park construction.
Now we're with you.
Sorry, we're doing the golf separately, but since Commissioner Parks is here, thought I just ask him to weigh in.
Oh, you updated it.
So we think that the improvements to allow for larger catering events at the golf course will eventually pay for itself. At
That's the
least,
idea.
or, okay. I'm looking at
Very
people
true.
trying not to smirk. That's not a good
Creating
sign.
affordable event space and golf. I don't think it's gonna be a moneymaker for the city, right?
I
That's-
don't know what about, so I can't speak on it.
But we can,
I was gonna say, it will help out the golf fund, not necessarily the city in and of itself, but any
When
revenue
you stop
generating.
moving, I was gonna say, if we stop moving from our general fund to the golf fund, then it
Abs-
helps the city.
Absolutely. Chris Strand will be here to talk about the golf fund. He has really good ideas. He's a really good marketing person.
I think we're kind of at the end of the pages, so I will entertain a motion to close the pages, which again, we're not going to do. I don't see a motion. Any other park stuff? Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in.
But we didn't ask the question of,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Did you think you need anything that you didn't get in the budget? No, any wish lists or anything? Okay, that's it.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and no changes to park fees, so we don't have to worry about those pages at the moment. All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a good evening. Thank you, everybody.
is there a
Have good evening.
motion?
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.